Hey, how are you? Welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the province of Alberta, PlayAlberta.ca. We have lots to discuss on the program today. Of course, the Orders, day off, as they are waiting to see who they're going to play. They will play the Dallas Stars tomorrow. Then, of course, Seattle on Thursday in a quick back-to-back. Not ideal going into Seattle, which is why I think that game tomorrow night, I know that Dallas comes in. They're obviously the better team, but if you look at the Orders in their schedule here, they got to find ways to get some wins this week. Otherwise, they might be too far behind LA and, home ice advantage won't even be an option by the time McDavid and Drai will get back at some point, maybe next week. So we shall see. We'll discuss that. Of course, lots going on. Ooh, Islander fans are fired up. Woo! A disallowed goal. That is a tough one. And that's where you'd want, to me, some clarity on what's goalie interference. I don't know if you've seen the play or not. Yeah, Paul Mary, he is in the crease for a bit, but then he steps out of the crease. And by the time the goal goes in, people are like, well, what about the reset rule? Does that give enough time to reset? Obviously, they deemed it didn't. So now, there was a call earlier in the game. Bo Horvat fell, and he got a tripping penalty. Now, they didn't score on it, right? There was the lead play that counted. So, you know what? In the course of a game, sometimes you get the calls go your way. Sometimes you don't. Obviously, Patrick Waugh wasn't very happy with that sequence. And the Islanders, that's, they get a point. But at this stage of the season, you want two, not just one. And you look at the wild card race today, the Canadians still in eighth place. They've lost 2 in a row in overtime. The Islanders have lost 2 in a row in overtime, so they're one back. The Canadians have a game in hand. The Rangers also have 74 points. Montreal has 2 games in hand on the Rangers. The Blue Jackets have 73 points, so they're 2 back. Still a dogfight. The Red Wings probably believing they still have a chance. I'm not sure they do. I know they're only 2 points back of Montreal, but they got to jump all these teams. And yeah, it's, I think Boston probably they've lost 3 in a row. I'm officially declaring March 25th. The Bruins are out. Sorry, Bruins fans, but you're done. You're 6 points out. You've got, Montreal has 3 games in hand on you. It ain't happening. They got 13 games left. Let's say they go 7-6. They get to 89 points. The Bruins would have to go 10-0. Okay? They're done. The Bruins are done. They're out. So I think it's down to Detroit, Columbus, the Rangers, and the Islanders. And obviously, Detroit's on pretty thin ice, as are the Columbus Blue Jackets. Both of those teams have really kind of limped down the stretch. 2-7-1 in the last 10 for the Blue Jackets. Detroit, 3-7. In their last 10. Over in the West, the Canucks get a huge win. Looked like they were going to lose, but they find a way to win. They're 3 back of the Blues. They do have a game in hand. So there's a race. The Calgary Flames still have their hand up saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Don't count us out. They're 4 back of the Blues, but they have 3 games in hand. Now, St. Louis still has the easiest schedule. They have the most points right now. Things are favoring them. There's no question. But the Canadians and the Blues, that's a huge game tonight. I know they're in different conferences, but both of those teams are battling for the final playoff spot. The Red Wings got to find a way to win in Colorado. Good luck. You got the Flames hosting the Kraken. That's a game they should win. We just saw Seattle here. They're not very good. You got the Rangers in LA against the best home team in the NHL. What's that? 11 years ago, those two teams met in the Stanley Cup final. Kings beat the Rangers, and Kings win tonight, man. That would put another nail in the coffin. Maybe not the last one, but just another deep one. So can the Rangers find a way to win in the toughest building to win in the league right now? We'll see. Also, there is the President's Trophy matchup tonight. The Jets hosting the Capitals. The Capitals 47-15-8. The Jets are 48-19-4. So that's a hell of a game. 2 great teams. And the Ovi Chase, of course, will still be watching. But it's more so about those 2 teams. And, they pretty much got everything wrapped up in their conferences. But does the President's Trophy really matter? I guess a little bit. But ultimately, the number one seed doesn't win now, if they make it to the cup final, then they're very good. Did you know in this century, the only number one seed to lose in the Stanley Cup final? Connor, do you have any memory of one number one seed who lost? Because by the way, there's 8 of them that made it, and 7 have won the cup. One team lost
this century.
So since 2000.
Oh dear. San Jose Sharks?
No, good guess, but no, not the Sharkies. It's an organization that they lose when it matters. The Vancouver Canucks, 2011. They are the only team that was a number one seed to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final and lose. It's hard to get there, right? It's hard to get there. So we'll see what happens. Also, today on the show, Joel Engel's going to join us. George Foreman, one of the best heavyweight fighters of all time, a huge personality, passed away last week. And the author of By George, the autobiography of George Foreman, Joel's going to join us in the first hour. So I love these I'm very much looking forward to this. There's just so much you don't know. And even when you write the book, there's still lots you don't get to put in the book. So we'll talk to Joel about the life of George Foreman, a very unique situation where all his sons have the exact same name. So we'll get into that. Scott Burnside will be by, talking lots of hockey, DVD, Mark Spector, Jason Strudwick, Dave McCarthy, Paul Sir will be by. Lots of talk about the NBA, but also 3x3 and stuff right here in Edmonton. Big press conference earlier today. So we'll touch on all of that. Also, a chance to go one-on-one with Adam Henrique. He will join us in the 3 o'clock hour. So I had a chance to sit down with Adam, who obviously is going to see an increased role due to the injuries for both McDavid and Draisaitl. And we talked a lot of things, with Henrique. Like Adam Henrique kind of had a unique career, went all the way to Stanley Cup final in his first season in the league. Right? They went all the way to Cup final with New Jersey, lost. Then he never won a playoff series, only made the playoffs one other time with Anaheim. They got swept until he joined the Oilers last year. So that's a long time between Stanley Cup runs. And boom, he went to the Stanley Cup final again, and unfortunately for him, lost. So he's 0 for 2 in the Stanley Cup final. How many guys even get to a Cup final? Never mind, he's only made the playoffs 3 times. Twice he's made it to the Stanley Cup final. It's good in one hand. So we'll see. Can he make it 3 out of 4? And this time get the win. Talk to him about that. Also, we'll crunch some numbers in the playoff push. Some teams, I think. Today is the day that I know that there's only 2 teams that are officially eliminated from the playoff race. That's Chicago and San Jose. But let's be honest. Sabres, Flyers, Penguins, Bruins, you're done. Okay, you're done. The Ducks, the Kraken, the Preds, they're out. Utah Hockey Club, I am putting the Utah Hockey Club out. They are done. They are not a playoff team. They're too far back. Just do the math. They're 6 back of the Blues. They got a game in hand. So even if the Blues go 5-5, that means the Utah team would need 17 points in 11 games. So they got to go 8-2-1. Not happening. That's just if the Blues go 5-5, and the Blues have a very favorable schedule. Very favorable schedule. So Utah, you're out, which leaves Vancouver, Calgary, and St. Louis in the West. Montreal, the Islanders, the Rangers, Blue Jackets. Man, I really want to. If I'm being honest, I probably should just punt the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings today. But I'll give them maybe one more day before our unofficial elimination to the playoffs. I get all the numbers, but let's be realistic here. You got some teams that are floundering right now. No question about it. Also, we're 2 days away from the North American version of MLB getting going. And man, you keep hearing lots of reports. There's rumors now that the Jays and Guerrero are going to get a deal done, upwards of $550 million for 15 years. We'll see. But there seems to be a lot more chatter that it might happen. So who knows? They said, hey, no more contract negotiations. We all know that's never true. You know what? I don't want to talk about. Oh, well, here's a contract for this. you think he's going to turn that down? Because is he going to get that for sure from someone else in the offseason? That's a pretty big risk. Ask John Klingberg. Ask John Klingberg. You might think you'll get another deal. Doesn't mean you'll get another deal. So that's always a concern for sure. Hey guys, any concern about the health of Ekholm? Not really. Him not practicing for a guy who didn't get the break, I don't think it's a major deal. He's obviously not 100%, but if he doesn't practice but then plays 3 and 4 nights, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Now, you could make an argument that maybe it's best not to play him back-to-back, and maybe they don't. Maybe they play him on Wednesday, and he doesn't go to Seattle. We'll see, but it's possible. But I think there's lots of rest here involved, and they look at all the numbers, and they got the science and everything behind it. So, yeah, not a huge issue. And Gregor, when Vigneault's quote was, there's only about a 20% chance first overall teams win the cup, Vigneault said, I'll take those odds. Well, he's right. You would take those odds. 20%, it's pretty damn good. When the playoffs start, you're saying you got a guaranteed 20% chance. Who wouldn't take those odds? No other single team's going to have higher. So I get it. It made sense. Made sense for sure. It just didn't work out for them. Worked out for a lot of the other teams, but not for them. So we'll see. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Tomorrow on the Business of Sport, pretty big business move in the WHL. So we'll have the commish on to talk about that. And, how much other change are we going to see, in junior hockey, major junior hockey in Canada over the next year or two? In the WHL, we're going to have expansion this season coming up, and then again next year. So they'll jump from 22 to 24 teams. My understanding is, don't be surprised to see the European roster spot increase by 1 from 2 to 3. The other big question is, a lot of people are wondering, are you going to see players who would play Junior A and BCHL come to the WHL younger now because they don't have to forfeit their NCAA path? It might happen for some, but does that necessarily, is adding more 16 and 17-year-olds going to make the league better? I would argue no. Look at the teams who win. They're rarely flush with a bunch of young players. Right? It's still, you want to win, it's a 19-year-old league. And I would argue it's a 19-year-old league. There's obviously a few exceptions. Right? There's always a few exceptions. But overall, to me, if they're adding more 16 and 17-year-olds, I don't think that makes the league any better, to be honest. And then to me, there's always the risk. If I was a parent and my son's a 16-year-old and they're playing on the 4th line, my son's not staying there. You don't get better playing limited minutes. You don't. Go play U18 for another year and dominate and touch the puck and improve your skill set. Penalty kill. Do all sorts of things. But way too many people. And I think one of the biggest mistakes some parents make is they're like, well, I don't want to rock the boat. I'm like, no, here's the truth. And I will say this, and I'll say it every time. The teams do not care as much about your child as you do. They never will. They're going to tell you they do. It's not true. Okay? They don't. They're an asset to their team that can help them win. And I'm not saying they don't care about them, but they don't care about them as much as you do. Now, that you don't want to be a crazy parent and have illusions of grandeur and overvalue your child. But if your 16-year-old son is playing 4th line minutes, get them the hell out of the WHL. It's not helping them at all. Right? Great part is you play a few games, you've got your year of your scholarship automatically. Talk to the coach, be upfront and say, hey, you guys don't want to play them. That's okay. They can go find an 18-year-old in junior A or a 19-year-old in junior A, and they can play them on the 4th line. It's easy to do. Don't ever think you can. And if any organization ever tries to give you the business about it, let me know. I would love to call them out on that. Well, I thought you care about the kid. What's best for their long-term development? It's like people thinking Matt Savoy is getting stunted in his development by going to the American League and playing way more minutes than he would in the NHL. There's no difference. Okay, none. Zilch, zero. The junior teams do not care as much that you ever will about your son's long-term development. Don't ever forget that. It's hard. You got to be smart in how you do it. You got to be respectful and professional. But I can give you a long list of 16-year-olds who go to the WHL and they're back in junior A at 18 because they didn't play and they haven't developed. You don't develop by playing 10 minutes a night and never touching the puck. You just don't. I don't care what anyone says. You do not do it. You play 20 minutes a night at a lower level. You'll touch the puck way more. Your confidence will be higher. It's way better off. So never forget that. Quick break. We'll return. We'll talk to Hockey Hall of Fame writer Scott Burnside next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
People are always curious about what GS Construction does. They know it's something to do with construction because it's in our name. But our work at GS Construction isn't just about the projects we do. It's about people. This season, you'll see GS Construction improving underground infrastructure in the places we call home. So we're looking for crew members to work with motivated and friendly team members. This is it. If you want to join a team that cares about the community, your community, visit gsconstruction.ca and apply.
The Jason.
If you or someone you care for are injured in a motor vehicle accident, please listen up. I'm Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physiotherapy, and let me proudly say that we won't be the place your insurer tells you to go. We won't be the place because we don't sign agreements with the insurance company. We don't work for them, we work for you. We do want to be the place that your friends, family, and other medically trained professionals send you. So if your insurance company says that you have to see their therapist, you should know that's not true. You have the right to choose where you go, and we hope you choose us. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on PlayAlberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Riverside Marine and Motorsports are back for the 2025 Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show, March 21st and 23rd. Discover new 2025 models and exclusive offers like Yamaha finance rates and big rebates. Riverside Marine and Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Hi, Dennis from Lease Johnson again. Did you know that all mechanical equipment has a typical life expectancy? A furnace and air conditioner generally lasts 15 to 25 years, and your hot water tank is more in the 6 to 12 year range. With that in mind, your mechanical equipment will last longer with regular maintenance and service from the pros at Lease Johnson. Visit wjheats.com today to book your service or provide you with an estimate for a new furnace, air conditioner, or hot water tank that is long past its prime.
10 treks to Grandma and Grandpa's.
30 midnight drives that became lullabies.
40 road trips to find the best fish and chips.
Measure your RAV4's comfort and memories, not just mileage. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2025 RAV4 LE all-wheel drive from $95 weekly for 60 months at 6.59% with $3,899 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Watch every Oilers game at OTR with $5.25 Molson Canadian, $5 Pink Whitney shots, and 60-cent wings. Plus, play Oilers Score and Win for your chance to win On the Rocks gift cards. Oilers Hockey at OTR. Book your table today. Jasper Ave and 118th.
The Jason Gregor Show. The best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$2:22. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And it's Tuesday, so you know what that means. Lotto Max, and woo, baby, $60 million and 1 million max million draws up for grabs tonight. Good luck. Get your tickets. Just remember the deal. If you win, you throw a party for us. One of us wins, we invite you. It's a really good deal. It's a really good deal. So good luck at PlayAlberta.ca. As it's time to go in the room, brought to you by Action Electrical, the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta, 4 divisions and projects and service. TAG, which is a preventative maintenance for your electrical distribution with infrared, ultrasonic, and arc flash studies. It's actionelectrical.net. Hockey Hall of Fame writer Scott Burnside joins us. Is that now in your bio, Scotty? Do you put that in your bio?
I pretty much ask anyone, if I'm getting a coffee or if I'm, getting, whatever, wherever I'm out and about. I always like it if people preface it with that designation. So it's not 100% yet though. So I'm keep working on it though.
Okay, I like it though. You know what? If I had that, why not have a little fun with it? Excuse me, Hall of Fame, please. That would be great. One guy who's destined for the Hall of Fame when his career is over is Alex Ovechkin, and the chase to break Gretzky's goal record has been very exciting, I think, for a lot of people to watch. For some who are huge Gretzky fans, they don't necessarily love it, and I kind of get that too. But you've got tonight the Capitals and the Jets in Winnipeg, the number 1 seeds, respectively, in the East and West. And I think fair to say 2 teams that nobody thought would be the number 1 seeds in their respective conferences when the season began.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was working on a piece on Ovechkin, and it's part of it's. I think it's natural at this stage when you talk about the record and the fact that it'll be touch and go to reach Gretzky by the end of the regular season, touching even a little bit. Harder to imagine him setting the record, but certainly given his propensity for scoring in bunches, it's certainly within the realm of possibility. But there is a certain nostalgia about it, right? Like, and if you've been around a long time, I remember, that 05-06 season after the lockout, first season, of course, for Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. Spent a lot of time in both Washington and Pittsburgh watching both those players. And even back then, it's hard to imagine now, but, neither of those places were sold out all the time. And it took, the fans were still, there was the hangover from that lockout. And yet here we are, decades later. And I think even players who played with Alex Ovechkin back in those days when Washington, had become a force and they sold out every single night in downtown Washington. I don't think anyone imagined that this was going to be really possible. And, the fact, his durability, the way he played the game, I don't think a lot of people imagined we'd be talking about, having this conversation. I remember I covered his march to 500, which made him the first Russian player to score 500 goals. Did it at home against Ottawa, if I'm not mistaken. And there was no, I don't remember the narrative being, Gretzky next, right? I don't think people thought along those lines because it was just too much, the distance too great between the two. And yet here we are. And I think it is. I think it's it's a terrific story to watch and to see it unfold. And I'm glad Wayne Gretzky and Gary Bettman, and it sounds like some of Ovechkin's old teammates will be, sort of following along to help celebrate the mark, when he ties Gretzky and then when he breaks and establishes a new record. I think it's a great story. And there's lots of different, you can talk to politics, you can talk lots of different things. This is going to be, and I think it will beg another question. Is there anyone else who could get to this point?
No.
Of course, Connor, David, and, but I just don't, I don't see it. I just think you have to do so much right, and you have to stay healthy for so long, and you have to be, incredibly productive year after year. I don't see it happening. And so I'm glad it's going to be, I think hockey fans should take a moment and celebrate, what is unfolding.
Well, Leon Draisaitl, who right now is, Matthews has had some better seasons, but not as consistent because he's always hurt. But Leon Draisaitl would need 10 more years of 50 goals each season to get to 900 goals. 10 more seasons of 50 goals, right? Like, which would give him 14 in his career. Like, it ain't happening, right? Like, that's how far away, those type of guys are. And those guys are really good. But I don't see any of the current players doing it at all. You're going to need somebody to come out of the gate hot that's scoring 50 and 60 and 50 goals in their first 5 years to even get on pace.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, so, never say never, but it's not happening. Probably not in our lifetime anyway. So,
Scotty, looking at we talk a lot about the playoff teams. I want to talk about the non-playoff teams. And I officially said Utah, Anaheim, Seattle, Nashville, you're out. You're not making the playoffs. The math doesn't help you. Boston, Pittsburgh, Philly, Buffalo. I know none of them are officially eliminated. We all know they're eliminated. But you look at a team like Buffalo that everybody was saying, hey, they're going to take a stride, and they haven't taken any. The only benefit for them is Philly's in free fall mode, so they might not finish last in the conference, but which probably doesn't help them now. You might as well finish last and get the best draft pick. Do you think the Buffalo Sabres need to clean house and management in the offseason?
Oh, God, it's so it does boggle the mind that you can be this bad for this long. Like, you really have to be doing a lot wrong all the time to not make the playoffs, right? And especially in the Eastern Conference, and I think it's fair to say over the last few years, and this year is no different, right? There's, like Washington made the playoffs last year. They're a terrible team, and they were embarrassed by the Rangers in 4 straight games. And the same thing could happen to the Islanders this year, not the Islanders rather, but maybe it's Montreal Canadiens. Could be the Islanders. The Rangers kind of a weird team. I can't believe they're going to miss the playoffs, but they have played themselves, sort of right to the edge of it right now. But so I don't know. Like, I didn't understand the hiring of Lindy Ruff last off season. Like, I didn't understand what was the plan there, because things had ended. Yeah, I know there were injuries and stuff, but it didn't end great for Lindy Ruff in New Jersey. I just didn't understand that fit. And of course, as you point out, they are flirting with playing, certainly, being a lottery team, definitely. I know Philly's making it closer than they should be, but, Sabres are still 3 points worse. Now they have 3 games in hand. So, yeah, anyway, semantics, they're a terrible team. They've been terrible for a long time. So, to me, okay, if you were going to wipe out Kevin Adams and the management team, does it not stand then that you have to make another coaching change? Because another manager coming in? Is the new GM in Buffalo going to say, yes, I really believe that Lindy Ruff can turn this thing around? I mean, maybe that happens. Maybe there's someone out there who says that. But to me, if you're going down that road, you are talking about another another coaching change on top of another management change. So, I remain flummoxed as to exactly what the path forward is for the Sabres team. Because, when you look at that roster and you think of the number of high draft picks, and I know they swapped a couple of them, last year at the trade deadline, and then again this year in the deal with the Senators. But you still have all this draft, these high picks. That you have a blue line that should now be sort of coming together as one of the, a great young blue line that should carry you into the playoffs every year for a decade. And Like I don't know what to do. I wish I had an answer, right? The obvious answer is yes. Well, Kevin Adams probably doesn't deserve to be the GM of the Buffalo Sabres. But I always say, if that's the way you want to go, you want to get rid of someone, coach, GM, whatever it is, what is your plan then? So who comes in? To me, that's then the first thing. You want to get rid of Kevin Adams, fine. It has been a terrible run for him as the general manager of that team.
Yep.
But do you give him another year, or what is your plan? And if your plan is to bring in someone younger, smarter, whatever plan they bring, it seems almost inevitable that they will want a different coach. So now you have to make another coaching change. If you're the Pagula family in Buffalo, like, is that what you're? I just don't know. Like, I honestly, for me, it's one of the greatest mysteries of pro sports. I think, how can this team be this bad for this long, given the draft capital they had? And listen, I know Edmonton went through it. Similar questions were asked in Edmonton, but Edmonton never cratered it the way that the Sabres have cratered. This will be 15 years in a row, I think now.
14. Well, the Oilers actually missed 12 out of 13 years. And, Peter Chiarelli, they made it 1 year with McDavid, and then the next 2 years they didn't make the playoffs again, and that cost him his job. And, Ken Holland came in and he got the Oilers on the right track. And, at 5 straight years, they made the playoffs, went all the way to the Stanley Cup final in the 5th year. They've been in a conference final another year. Like, there was obvious improvements there. And that was during a flat cap. Like, to me, I look at Buffalo, and it wasn't just Kevin Adams. I thought their whole management team lacked experience, and that was their biggest problem. And I think it became clear in some of the signings and some of the trades that they made. And, that it's a city that I really like. And that's why I know Buffalo people like, why are you talking about Buffalo? Well, 14 years is a long time in the NHL, and they're not any closer. That's what, like, when Kevin Adams took over, 5 years now, they've gained nothing. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree, and you're right. I mean, there are markets that you look at and you say, you know what, like, you deserve. Look at Philly is such a great market, and they're kind of a weird team, and I do think they are going to get on the right track, and I like Danny Briere and Keith Jones there, and but that's a market that deserves to get some love. Now they haven't had the drought that the Sabres have, but Buffalo's it's a great hockey town, and they care, and they've been kicked in the teeth every single year. Like, I mean, as you point out with the Oilers, at least you have Connor McDavid, so things are happening. You've got Leon Draisaitl. You go to the playoffs, and then you have a couple of years where you take steps back, and you do find the right people to come in. And it took a couple of coaches, right? Like, I mean, it hasn't been a straight line for the Oilers, but there has been ownership that hires people, then they do their job, and whatever changes you sort of believe in the path. I don't know. It must be a terrible thing to be part of that ownership group and look down and say, well, what do we do? Like, they're a million miles from anywhere, and that's it's unfortunate because it is I'm with you. It's a good town. Love to go there. And they sure deserve a lot more than they've received for the last decade and a half.
Scott Burnside joins us. Scott, there's a few playoff matchups that kind of look set. Dallas and Colorado are pretty much, locked in. I don't see Minnesota catching the Avs here down the stretch. And I guess mathematically Dallas could catch Winnipeg, but it would seem pretty hard. So those two teams will meet. Carolina, New Jersey is a lock of locks amongst those two teams to get in. And then Carolina is probably like, thank goodness we get New Jersey in the first round. LA and Edmonton, 5 points back of Vegas. That's a lot of points to make up in only 12 games. So it looks like for the 4th year in a row that they would go at it. When you look at those 2-3 matchups, if it's Dallas, Colorado, LA, Edmonton, New Jersey, Carolina, which one intrigues you the most?
Well, I provide content for the Kings, so I follow them pretty closely. In fact, I'm headed to LA next Friday. I'll be there just in time for the first of 2 really intriguing matchups between the Oilers and the Kings down this stretch run. And of course, if you've been following along, Kings are a much different team than they were a year ago.
Yeah.
And they are absolutely fire at home. So of those 3 series, and you're right, and Carolina as a side note, way better now without Mikko Rantanen, and go figure that. Almost unstoppable. In fact, the only loss they've had, I think, since the trade deadline, they got crushed by the Kings in LA the other day. But they are on fire, and given the injuries to the Devils, the Hurricanes should be a mortal lock to go to the second round of the playoffs. Now, of course, now New Jersey will sweep them, and you and I'll have a conversation. We'll say, remember when you said that? But anyway,
no, because I would agree with you. I would think it would be, I think they'd crush them too.
Yeah. So to me, these 2-3 matchups in the West, I believe that you are absolutely accurate that it will be Dallas, Colorado. And I do think it'll be LA, Edmonton, although the Kings play a lot of home games down the stretch. So, outside chance they catch Vegas, but Vegas is playing pretty well right now. So, so let's assume part 4 of Oilers-Kings. I think it's a way better matchup, frankly, for the Kings this year than it was the last year and maybe even the 2 years before that, given how they play at home and if they can hold on to home ice advantage. That's what makes those 2 games, over the next 4 weeks or whatever it's going to be, so important for both the Kings and for the Oilers. And, when you look at, listen, I assume Connor McDavid will be back and healthy for the playoffs. I assume the same of Leon Draisaitl. So given health, the Oilers are a team battle tested. I'm not sure it matters all that much to them where they open on the, in the playoffs. I don't know that it matters as much to them as I think it will matter to the Kings because they play so well at home. So, I think that series is going to be, I just think it has the potential to be so much fun because of the history and because I think this Kings team is way better. And I'm not sure the Oilers are better than they were a year ago. I think there are legitimate questions about the depth scoring and are they, I don't think they're as good as they were a year ago when they went to Game 7. And I think maybe that's inevitable. But it's certainly, I think that it's going to be a much greater challenge for the Oilers, to get back to a conference final or get back to a final than maybe people thought at the start of this year. I know a lot of people like the Oilers, not just to go back to a final, but to take that final step and win a Stanley Cup. To me, they don't look like a team that can win a Stanley Cup right now. And, easy to say when your 2 best players and 2 of the best players in the world are not playing currently. But even when they were playing, this team did not look infallible. And I think that first round series with the Kings will be a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to it myself.
Scotty, great stuff, man. I appreciate it. Oh, quickly, Quentin Byfield, 7 straight games at home. He's got a goal. I think he's like one of 5 guys, 22 years of age or younger, who have done that. And I know I talked to Dennis Bernstein about a month and a half ago, and I was like, I watched Byfield, and I'm like, God, he's got so much that makes you think this guy's going to be a player. And he was like, they were shoot the puck. He finally seems to figure out that if he shoots that puck and he's got a great shot, he's going to score.
Well, and the whole part, it's been a little bit of a zigzag for Quentin Byfield. And even at the start of this year, I think people were like, hey, he's going to play center. He's basically going to take P.L. Dubois' spot after the deal that sent him to Ottawa and Darcy Comfort, who should be on the final ballot for the Vezina Trophy, given the way he's played. So pretty good deal for both those teams. But, this was the thing. Byfield's going to play center. He's going to be an 80-point guy, and maybe he plays his way onto Team Canada. And, I don't know that he played poorly, but he certainly, the production wasn't there. And you're right, he didn't shoot enough. And, maybe it was the pressure of the expectations, whatever it was. But he plays now like you expected him to play. And he is, they're so good down the middle now. And he has really, he has stepped into that role of, I am going to be a legitimate number 1 center, and I am an NHL star. And he just seems to be much more comfortable, the way he is. And, playing, Kevin Fiala is interesting too, because again, a guy that has tons of talent, but, sometimes it hasn't gone for him. But playing with him and Alex Laferriere, the depth is really impressive with the Kings, and you're right. Byfield has just elevated that entire forward core, and if he keeps that up, I mean, how fun will that be for Kings fans? But I think it's also going to create an interesting discussion for Team Canada when you start thinking about Italy in 2026.
Yeah, no, 100%. Big body that can skate. They're very valuable. Scott, great stuff, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
Anytime.
That's Scott Burnside. Hall of Fame writer. We have to address him like that. I love it. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. And we will get into, there's a lot of people that I say, hey, the Oilers, they're not as good as they were last year. And I think it's fair to suggest they aren't playing as good. But I could make an argument that when the Oilers are healthy, which won't happen until the playoffs, fully healthy, right? Like Vander Kane's not playing the regular season. Trent Frederick might play, 6 games down the stretch? That when this team is fully healthy, I would argue they may be better. And I'll go through it. We'll go player by player. Look who's in the lineup last year, who's not going to be in there this year. So we get into that later on. Do you agree or disagree? 833-401-1440. But when we return, we'll talk about one of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time, one of the biggest characters, George Foreman, as Joel Engel joins us next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit FountainTire.com today.
There's one. And another. No, not spring flowers yet, but rather huge deals. It's GMC's Truck Month at Wolf GMC Buick. Nab 0% financing up to 72 months on our most popular Sierra half-tons, or massive discounts starting at $8,000. Choose your truck from a great selection, like the fabulous all-new Canyon, right up to the trailer-hauling Sierra HD with the industry-leading Duramax diesel. Spring into Wolf GMC Buick today and snag your truck, and see the savings at wolfgmcbuick.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
The Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the what?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born, blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
Mr. Ruther checks off his bucket list. Skydiving is tops on my list.
I want to go to Bali.
What's at the top of your bucket list, Mr. Ruther?
Definitely the Rubbermaid H2864R. It has 14 quarts of capacity with a spill-free pour spout and a corrosion-resistant handle. Wow, what a bucket.
You know that a bucket list isn't a list of nice buckets, right?
I do. That's how good this bucket is.
For a plumber with buckets of plumbing passion, call Mr. Ruther.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. We offer sale, rental, repair, and calibration of hydraulic, pneumatic, and battery-powered torque wrenches, stud tensioners, and flange maintenance equipment. Order today at cantork.com.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.245, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having a lovely, lovely day. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Female Super League, designed to elevate female youth hockey. The FSL will provide a platform for U12 and U14 players to develop and improve their skills. You can sign up your daughter at femalesuperleague.com. And last week, one of the greatest heavyweight boxers in the history of the world, George Foreman, passed away. He was 76 years of age. Of course, he was a two-time heavyweight champion, also an Olympic champion, and had the George Foreman grill, and was a real big character. And a gentleman who probably knew him better than most of us, Joel Engel, joins us. He was the author of By George, the autobiography of George Foreman. Joel, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you, Joel. It was I was reading up a little bit on George, and like when you go about the autobiography, obviously you talk a lot about the boxer, but you talk about a young guy, and George, in his own words, said he was kind of troubled at times, and I think he said at 16 he was, quote, a mugger for a while, so obviously was kind of going down the wrong path. What kind of got him back on the right track?
Well, he was. By the way, I'll just interject. The reason he interviewed 62 writers for the job, and I got it because I was the only one who wasn't a sports writer.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So he was, because I saw his story as an impossible dream kind of thing, and this is before he won the championship the second time. He was making his comeback, but he was raised in the slum of slums, the Fifth Ward in Houston, Texas. And he described himself as a thug, and he was always hungry. He was always angry. His brothers and sisters, 5 older brothers and sisters, they were much smaller than he was, and they used to call him Mohead. And he didn't know what Mohead was. He just knew that he didn't like it. Fast forward, he found out after he lost the championship to Ali in 77 that what they were really calling him was Moorhead, because his mother had a brief dalliance with a guy named Leroy Moorhead. And so back to the question. He was sent to this thing called the Job Corps up in Oregon, which was supposed to take troubled youth like George and give them life skills that they might be able to use to good purpose in life. And it was through that he got into boxing for real and not fighting on the street.
So, Joel, you mentioned 62 authors. George obviously took his book very serious, and I respect that. Like, it's your life story. You want someone to tell it properly, and I think he wanted to be known as more than just a sports figure, which I think makes a lot of sense in itself. So, when you sit down and then you get hired by George, kind of take us through, like, is it just like how many hours of interviews are you doing with George? And then how many times do you interview with them and then you start writing and then you're like, oh, geez, I got to follow up with something because I'm missing a piece. Like, how long does the whole process take when you write an autobiography like this?
Well, typically it would take a year, but when he won the heavyweight champion, we signed a contract with Random House, I believe it was, just before the fight in November of 1994. And when he won, the editor called me and said, "You got to have this thing done in 2 months." So, which 90,000.
Now he's a hot topic, right?
Yeah. So, well, he was kind of hot, but now he's sizzling.
Yeah.
He's the oldest man to win it, and he's won it twice. And I'll tell you, the November 5th, 1994, it was at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, when he knocked out Michael Moore, because he was behind on every card into the 10th round. And when he knocked him out, if you had 2 777s flying in this place, it wouldn't have been as loud as the crowd was. It was astounding. Anyway, so but we spent. Then I immediately flew to Houston, so we spent probably about 35 hours in person over the next few weeks, and then I went back home to the LA area. And I started writing and would send him stuff, and he'd make some corrections and send it back. So by February 15th, the manuscript was done.
Now, Joel, had you ever been to a heavyweight title fight before that one?
I had been to wrestling when I was a kid, with the Destroyer and Freddie Blassie, that kind of thing.
Right.
But I had never been to a prize fight.
So you're there, and you must have been like, oh my God, like because I've been lots of fights in mixed martial arts, and it's hard not to get caught up in the energy of the crowd, right? Like when one guy's starting to win and like in a knockout, like that energy, was it How unique was that for you? And did that give you a better kind of perspective and understanding of just, how brutal boxing truly is at its core?
Yes. You know what? That may be the best question anyone's ever asked me on anything. And I've written about 30 books. That might be the best question ever. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, it did. I was sitting fifth row in the aisle, and the whole time, because I know, please acquit yourself nobly. Don't embarrass yourself, please. And he's hanging in there. He's hanging in there, and he's hanging in there. And then more goes down, and the place holds its breath for the count of 10, and then erupts. And I was sitting fifth row aisle on one of the corners. And I have to this day, I have no recollection how I got down to the mat. That just coincidentally was where he turned around and knelt down in prayer.
Right.
So I don't know how I got there. I don't know. I should have broken my neck, the speed at which I was going, apparently, or I levitated. I don't know, one of the two.
Joel Engel joins us, author of By George, the autobiography of George Foreman, joins us. And George, for a lot of people who don't know, George, of course, he got into boxing. Then he won the gold medal in the heavyweight division in 1968. And then he had the stunning second round knockout of Joe Frazier, who at that time was undefeated in 1973. Defended the belt twice before he lost to Muhammad Ali in the Rumble in the Jungle. And then in 1977, he retired for a decade. What did he do in that decade?
Well, the fight, he lost the fight to Jimmy Young, and he was so drained afterward. It was in Puerto Rico, and it was hot. He was so drained. He had what he describes, and I have no reason to disbelieve, or I had no reason to disbelieve him, was a real religious experience.
Right.
And so afterward, he became a street preacher, and then he had his own little congregation. And then he started a youth and community center that started running out of money. And the only way he could figure out to make enough money to sustain it was to go back into boxing. So that's when he started fighting all these tomato cans, as they say.
Yeah.
And then he worked his way up, and then he gets in the ring with Holyfield, and he goes the distance, and people are just blown away. How is this possible? And then a couple of years later is when he has, or a couple and a half years later is when he has the opportunity against Michael Moore.
And he won that. He had a great boxing career, but George, his life outside of boxing was arguably more fascinating when you think about it. Did he give you the real reason why he named all his sons George?
Yes, he did. And and if you were in George world, you get it. So I alluded to before, when he found out that his biological father was Leroy Moorhead, he decided that if I have children, and at the time he didn't, when I have children, and I have, because this applies to the girls too, I'm going to name them George Edward Foreman, so that even if we get separated, they're always going to know who their father was.
Ah. Okay.
So it's in I'll tell you something else, but Bob Arum, the fight promoter, right? Bob Arum told me that George was the smartest athlete he'd ever worked with, and that includes Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and that's high praise. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I obviously, finding out later in life, that, now his father raised him was great, but it wasn't his biological father. And, I've read countless books on psychology and how that does impact you in different ways. You just kind of feel like something was missing maybe. And so, that makes sense now in case my kids ever get separated. Now they're going to know who I am. At the same time with that, now, when you wrote the book, I'm not sure yet on my timeline here, but I don't know if any of his kids had passed away at that point. Had they?
No.
Okay.
No, they had not.
Yeah. So, because did you ever contemplate, even though I wrote the autobiography, there almost could have been a second follow-up book, because George endured so much pain afterwards with a lot of the losses of his children.
Well, so so just full disclosure, I haven't, I've been fascinated by people wanting to talk to me about this, because I haven't had any contact with him in 30 years. We
Really?
We were very friendly.
Right.
And then it was over. We're not in the same world. We're not even in the same state. So there was no legitimate reason. We didn't form we were friendly. We didn't form a friendship. But for me, the bookends of George's life, it really bothered him in Zaire how people booed him. He was the champion of the world and they booed him, and it hurt him in his soul. And then to bookend it with almost 20 years later, to have cheering like that I heard and he heard too, that's George's life. What he did in the middle to earn the praise and the love of people. We'd go somewhere in public and people would just, it was like the Messiah was there. He was just adored.
Yeah.
So for him to do that was that's the best second act in sports history for sure.
Well, and he must have talked about like how like that can be very satisfying, because I think for like George, from all the, and I've read lots about George. I read your book, and the one thing about him was, like, I did not know what Bob Ehrman said, that he was the smartest athlete he ever had, but he genuinely seemed like a very like caring human being, right? Like he really cared about other people. And I could see how when you're a guy like that who does a lot of the right things, and he doesn't mean he was perfect. He said he was a mugger when he was a teenager, but he that booing would have really impacted him negatively and been hard to get over. So when he talked to you about getting those cheers, was that kind of like, okay, now I can have closure and I can be okay?
Well, he talked about it on a continuum. So he talked about when he first came back and he was heavy, and the sports writers, of course, made fun of him. He said, so I decided to just go along with it. I would outdo them. And
yes.
I would make better quips about myself than they could. And that took all of the air out of it kept them from deflating the balloon. Let's put it that way. And so he just kept on with that. But he started this community center because he wanted to give kids the opportunity to learn things that he had to go to Oregon to do, and just a few people got to do.
Well, he did. And now you mentioned that, you obviously weren't a sports writer, but you've written other books about sports. And so when you got to dive into George's book, what was different writing his book compared to some of the other ones for you? What was maybe some of your best memories of going through the process of writing with George?
Well, the thing I remember most was the hideous, onerous deadline. So that the only Super Bowl I've ever missed in my life, because I'm old enough to remember the first Super Bowl, the only one I've ever missed was that one. Turns out he didn't miss much of a Super Bowl. It was the Chargers that getting blown out by the 49ers. But I had to work on Super Bowl Sunday. So, but that was it. But, talking to George, making sure the story was right, making sure it was that I had gotten down and interpreted properly and was adding the color that was necessary.
Because, your book on Jack Youngblood, is one of my favorite books.
Get out. Really?
I love that. Well, Jack, because I didn't he was a little bit before my time. And so I like reading, but he just was such a unique portrayal of him. That's what I liked about the book so much.
The one of the loveliest men I've ever met in my life.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
And then your other book, which of course many of our listeners might know, it came out in the movie, of course, The Rookie, the Jim Morris story, right?
Yeah.
And Quake. So when you wrote the book, and now is that the only book you wrote that became a movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you, because I've read lots of books, I've seen the movies, and usually the books in most cases are better because they're more in depth, right?
Yeah.
But how did you like the movie portrayal of one of your books? How was it? Did you go and watch it?
You're so good. This gives me an opportunity to tell you the story. I went to I didn't get to write the screenplay, which I was pissed about.
Okay.
Because I would have done some things differently. Like, for instance, nobody's throwing an orange 95 miles an hour. So that was ridiculous. Anyway, so but I went with my wife and daughter, and we went to a preview that would happen to be in our neighborhood 2 weeks before the actual opening day. And the moment when Jim Pitt gets on the mound at the end, the highlight when he's pitching, and it's about to be the strikeout. It's about to be the strikeout that that makes him the oldest rookie, that makes him the Jim Morris that everybody remember. The film, it was actual film in those days. It comes off the sprocket and burns while the ball's in the air. The film came off and burned. So I've actually we filled theater. It was in 2,000 theaters that night, and that's the only place it happened, and that's where I was.
Oh my goodness! So you're like, what happened?
No, not now.
Oh, that is amazing. And because that was, you know what, I honestly I didn't know a lot about that until the movie. I read the book afterwards, but I was like that. It was such a cool story to see something like that. It's a great story, perseverance and not giving up. And, you know, obviously you need a lot of luck, but, you know, he had some ability, no question. And then, you know, it's kind of unique how his kids kind of, the players on his team really kind of encourage him to say, hey, you be encouraging us now. You got to take a chance. You can't be scared.
You know, he would have had another couple of years. But he was, if you read the book, you know how insecure he was and all that.
Yes.
Because of his upbringing. When he was on the Dodgers, which was going to be great for me since I live in the LA area. And he decides he's not quite sure that he's going to make either the 40 or the 25 roster. And he decides, I'm going to take batting practice and show them what a great hitter I am. So maybe they'll keep me like Don Drysdale kind of thing. And he ripped up his rib cage and they cut him. So he didn't even make the opening day roster.
Oh my God. I know that. Hey, that's right. That's, I haven't read the book in a while, but that's a good memory of where, you probably should focus on what you're doing well and be confident in that. But it's a great life lesson. Yeah. And obviously his story still makes it great. And not all stories have the hot, like him getting to the majors was a great story, but then, you know, kind of how he left the majors is more of maybe the reality of, hey, not every story has this perfect utopian ending.
No, and it doesn't, but he's still out there. I talked to his agent very recently. He's still out there giving inspirational speeches and people are still lining up and paying.
Oh yeah, I would think so.
It is. It's about it again. I think the impossible dream thing is something that I really it resonates for me.
Well, I think it resonates for a lot of us. Joel Engel joins us, of course. He was the author. We started talking about George, but I want to talk about some of his other books quickly. But with George's passing, Joel, you mentioned that, you know, you guys kind of had like a business relationship. You wrote the book and then it ended. You know, hearing that George passed away, kind of what type of emotions does that bring up when you're somebody who wrote his life story?
Another great question. It struck me much harder than I thought it would. You know, it's first of all, I didn't expect him. I didn't know he was sick, and we still don't know. I don't think why he passed away. But it was like, I'm grieving.
Yeah,
so it was a surprise to me. Yeah.
Well, and it makes sense because, you know, the relationship wasn't that long. It had to be pretty intense and very personal for a short period of time between the two of you, right?
It was, again, because it was so compact and we had to, so we flew together. We get on Continental jets, RIP Continental. And we had to, I needed that time. So it was like being in a canoe together, and so that everything was magnified.
Yeah. Now, Joel, if you could write an autobiography on anyone right now, whose autobiography would you want to write?
Jason, you know what? Your questions are so good. I might have to do. I might do. Jason, let's do your book.
Oh, buddy. You know, I actually have a pretty unique story, Joel. Maybe I'll tell you about it someday. So,
okay.
Sarepta. So, it would be fun. I'll tell you that. I'm not sure how many people would want to read it, but there's some pretty inspiring stuff in there. I lost my father at a young age and other things like that. So yeah, but no, I'd be humbled that somebody like you would want to even consider writing a chapter of a book about me. So that would be a huge honor.
People don't ask, very rarely do people. I was on 3 BBC shows the night he passed, and nobody came close to asking as good a questions as you.
Oh, well, Joel, I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. And man, I love your books. Do you have any other books coming out?
No,
No,
I don't. But you should, if you like my writing, read the true crime book, LA 56. It's pretty good.
Ooh, oh, that. No, I'm looking it up right now. LA 56. Give me a prep. What's it about?
It's the best true story I ever heard. And it's written like a noir novel. This guy is terrorizing the city's lovers' lanes, posing as a cop,
Okay.
Raping girls, and a cop, an LAPD cop who was fired. He was a black cop who was for dating a white woman. That's the reason he got fired. Is accused of it, and the person who solves the crime is the first Latino detective in Los Angeles. So it all takes place in 1956.
Ooh.
And the detective is one of Jack Webb's favorites. So every time there is a homicide on Dragnet, he says, "Give it to Galindo." So it's really the story of the detective Danny Galindo and the wronged former LAPD cop named Todd Rourke. It's a really amazing story.
Oh, LA 56. You know what, Joel? I just finished my book, a book on grit, actually, from Angela Duckworth, which I highly recommend for anybody to read. And so I need a new book. I'm ordering it right now, A Devil in the City of Angels. I love it. So
Okay, good.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for that, Joel. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much for joining us and giving us a little insight on George and a few of the other books you write. And I highly recommend Blood for anybody out there. If you're a football fan, I would recommend
Thank
Blood.
you. Yeah, I like that book too, and I'm so pleased that you read it and remembered it. Thank you. It's been a real pleasure to be interviewed by you, Jason. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Joel. I appreciate it. Have an awesome day.
All right, same to you.
You betcha. There's Joel Engel, the author of George Foreman's biography. Here's some of the books that Joel's read. Like, this guy's a big time author, dude. Of course, the By George one, The Rookie, The Incredible True Story, LA 56, Devil in the City of Angels. There's also Scorched Worth, which is a true story of destruction, deceit, and government corruption. So he writes lots of true stories on lots of different topics. And I highly recommend Blood, the Jack Youngblood story. Oh, I loved it. Connor, you're a big football guy. I know you were heartbroken there because Joel brought up the only Super Bowl he didn't watch when he had to work was when your Chargers got spanked. So I was chuckling about that. But
yeah, did you have to bring up the exact one? Yeah, that wasn't a close Super Bowl, but intrigued to read that one, actually. I'm not a huge reader, as I've mentioned before, but
I tell you, the Jack Youngblood book, I loved it.
I don't know much about him. I know the name, I know the legacy, but
well, that's why I think
good
you'd
to
like
learn.
It. Yeah. But this LA 56 book, I'm all over it. So can't wait. Well, we're a little bit late. We'll take a quick break. Let's get to the sports update brought to you by Booster Juice. Stop in right now at Booster Juice because they got some new flavors for you. They got the guacamole chicken panini, the guacamole black bean wrap, and egg and chipotle black bean wrap. Visit your nearest Booster Juice today.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Jacob Chikrin re-signed the Washington Capitals earlier today. It's an 8-year extension worth $72 million. That's a $9 million AAV and kicks off next season through 2033. The Caps are in Winnipeg tonight taking on the Jets. This is a busy night. You also have the Flames up against the Kraken, the Kings in Los Angeles. Red Wings meet the Avalanche, Wild, and the Golden Knights. Montreal in St. Louis. Preds travel to Carolina. Lightning hosting the Penguins. Flyers in Toronto, and the Sabres taking on the Ottawa Senators in the association this evening. Kings hosting the Thunder. You got the Cavaliers taking on the Blazers. Jazz up against the Grizz. Jimmy Butler returns to Miami as the Warriors take on the Heat. Steph Curry questionable in that one. Pistons up against the Spurs, and the Hornets taking on the Magic. In the PWHL, one game tonight, Ottawa hosting New York. That'll get going at 5 o'clock. And in the AJ playoff hockey, the Kodiaks host Calgary, trailing 2-0. Fort Mac hosting Whitecourt. With that series tied at a game each, Canmore and Chandler Heller leading Interim Heller. That series tied at 1 game as well. And the Storm looking to take a commanding 3-0 series lead over the Bobcats. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by NHL.com writer Derek Van Diest and the host of the basketball show, Paul Sir. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order Oodle Noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle Noodle.
If you're looking for non-stop sports coverage, tune into Sports 1440, Edmonton's only sports radio station.
24/7 coverage comes at you with expert commentary, in-depth analysis,
And so much more.
We are Sports 1440.
When you live in northern Alberta, you need a vehicle that is built for this climate. That's the all-new 2025 Jeep Compass, and you'll find it at St. Albert Dodge. Now, what can I say? It's a Jeep. It's a 4x4, so it's totally at home driving on snow and ice. And it's got some great standard features like an 8.4-inch touchscreen, keyless entry, and heated front seats. As I said, northern Alberta. And all starting from just $34,900. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th. Don't miss the Champions Luncheon on Friday, April 25th at the Edmonton Convention Center. Tables are on sale now. This year's event is hosted by accomplished sports journalist and author Scott Morrison and features the legendary locker room tales of Mike Keenan. Iron Mike grew from a highly respected NHL player to one of the most passionate coaches in hockey history. For more information or to purchase your Champions Luncheon table, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan. For all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.314. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you're having an awesome day. The Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And you know what? If you feel like today's your day, Lotto Max, $60 million. Good luck. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. Oilers day off today. They will be back on the ice tomorrow, as they give them as much rest as they can here before what they hope is another long playoff run. They don't have a real, they have 3 games in 4 days over the next bit, but that's really it for a condensed schedule the rest of the way. They have a road trip that starts next week. They play every second day, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, which is just kind of rare on any 4-game road trip. So, and you know what? They're Vegas to San Jose to LA to Anaheim. It's not a lot of travel, so it's not overly difficult road trip. Now, some big games against Vegas and LA, especially if the Oilers can find a way. I think they got to win 2 of these next 3 games. If they can do that, then you know what? Next week starts, and you know maybe Draisaitl comes back, maybe McDavid at some point. Henrique eventually is going to play maybe that LA game April 5th, we'll see. But it's if the Oilers can win 2 or 3 this week and then go 3-1 in games without Draisaitl and McDavid, that'd be massive for the team. I think it's massive for their confidence. Probably would have a few people saying, hey, maybe this team is not as bad, because I know a lot of people said, hey, I don't think the Oilers are as good as they were last year. And I'm not sure I agree with that. Right? Evander Kane's going to be healthy. Now, how good is he going to be? I don't know, but he's going to be healthy. And so that'll help. Trent Frederick. So if I have Trent Frederick and Skinner and Arvidsson and Wallman, and I look at their offensive potential, those 4 compared to CC, Fogle, McLeod, and Holloway, I can make a pretty strong argument that you've got more proven scorers this year. Now, we'll see. Proven doesn't mean they will. But, it's not like they had, great secondary scoring last year in the playoffs. 5-on-5. Do you know who was tied for second in goals? In 25 games, I should add, at 5-on-5. Dylan Holloway had 5 goals. Now, he had 7 points, 5-on-5 in the playoffs. And when I look at some of their guys in the top 6 this year, if they get to the Cup final, can one of them score 5 goals in 25 games? Yeah, I think they could. So I'm not sure I agree that the Oilers aren't as good this season as they were last year. I think it's a great conversation to have, but I definitely think it's something that they'll have. Like, if Kane's just healthy, like just his physical presence, him and Frederick, that's 2, because they didn't have another guy who was overly physical last year, right? And Kane was banged up. So, that brings a different element to their team. Now, it's going to be hard. Let's be honest. It's going to be very hard for Bouchard and McDavid to have the playoff success they had last year. It was unreal. So you're going to need other guys. That's totally valid, right? They're going to need other guys. LA at home, they've been very good. No question about it. But you get into the playoffs, it's a new season. And the Oilers are comfortable, sadly, starting on the road, because that's what they do most of the time. I don't know if they would automatically, get overwhelmed in LA. I'd be surprised if they did. So 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, you're amazing. You're bang on. It was amazing being in a title fight. I got to attend the Wilder Fury fight, the third one. Great fight and atmosphere from Louis. Like a heavyweight title fight. The atmosphere in the building would be unbelievable. Especially Fury. Like, was that the fight with 110,000 people? Right? Or was his last fight 9? Either way, like, he's had huge crowds in those stadiums. Like, I guess, now if you're up in the nosebleeds, maybe it's, it's not the same, although it's still loud. It's probably still a good atmosphere, and you're there. You just feel the energy. I don't care. You're in a big boxing match or a mixed martial arts. Anybody who's ever been to one of those, like, even in a smaller venue, man, you can just feel it. There's something different about that energy in when you're in the building. Totally different.
I watched a Pacquiao fight at Shanks once, Gregor, and I swear, like, when Pacquiao fought back in the day, the Filipino population in Edmonton, like, huge support, obviously. All at Shanks, it was like edge of your seat. You could feel it in the room. Like, all it takes is one punch in boxing and the place erupts, right? Like,
yeah.
I couldn't even imagine being there in the building when it happened. It'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's because it's kind of builds, especially if the guy's like, you got a few combinations, a left and a right, and you're just, it's going to come. And then it's just like the anticipation goes crazy. So yeah, it is a wild atmosphere, to be sure. It's unlike any other sport. I'm not saying it's better. It's just different. Anybody who's been there, I think, can attest to it. It's just different. Hey, boys, love that interview. Foreman was a fearsome puncher, beautiful human being. I could hear John Short excitement in your interview. Just magnificent, from Mark. Oh, thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. Greg's really enjoyed that interview. Thank you, from JP. Hey, guys, I'm glad I caught that interview. It's unbelievable. I'm going to have to read his books. Yeah, trust me. I actually ordered it during the commercial break. LA 56, A Devil in the City of Angels. I love true stories. You guys know that. We talk about it all the time. But, those true crime stories, man, I'm all over them. I love that. So just in time, because I need a new book. So quite excited for that. Hey, Gregor, fascinating question. Are the Oilers better this year than last? You bring up a valid point. What about goaltending? Well, it's the same goalies. Stu Skinner, I think people might be fascinated to know. So Stuart Skinner played 23 games in the playoffs last year. He had 2 really bad starts against Vancouver. No debate. He allowed 9 goals on 28 shots in those 2 games. Right? It's awful. No question about it. In his other 21 starts, he had a 2.14 goals against and a .916 save percentage. So pretty solid. Now, and that's what I talked about yesterday on the show. Like, if Skinner has a bad game, it can't be multiples. Because now the Oilers are obviously good, but I'm not sure there's a team that has lacking of an offense as Vancouver did last year in the postseason. And keep in mind, they were on their second, third string goalie too. So you can't, I think, give away 2 games in a series and come back and win very often, because that's what happened in that series. So valid that if something like that happens again, the odds of them winning are very low. No question. Very low. So Stuart Skinner has shown an ability to bounce back. That's valid. He's also shown an ability to have some struggles. So you need those struggles to be lower. You don't want it to be as, obviously you like the highs, but you want the lows not to be as low. And to me, I think that's a very fair question. Now, the Oilers' environment in which they play in front of the goalie helps. It was interesting listening to Woodley yesterday. And this to me, what Kevin Woodley said to me yesterday is example number 1 why Hellebuck's not the MVP. Connor Hellebuck has the best environment in front of him of any starting goalie in the NHL. Now, he has the best numbers, but he also has the best environment. Also, will not play in probably 22 of 82 games. He's not the MVP for me. He can be the Vezina Trophy winner, sure. It can't be the MVP. Just can't be it. Hey, Gregor, how was Skinner in 23 playoffs? Who cares, Braden? Why would you talk about what matters 2 years ago? Are you the same person 2 years ago? No, it's irrelevant what happened 2 years ago. It means nothing. Even last year really means nothing at the end of the day. But if we're comparing, is the team better? It's a fair question. But it's irrelevant to how Stuart Skinner played as a rookie in the playoffs. He's not a rookie anymore. Who cares how he played? What are we going to talk next about? Al McDavid's first year in the playoffs wasn't very good? Oh, you mean kind of like how Skinner's first year in the playoffs wasn't very good? Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' first year in the playoffs wasn't very good? Like, what are we doing? It's irrelevant to me what a guy did their first year in the playoffs in a lot of cases. Especially when it's years ago. Stuart Skinner, all you care about is how does Stuart Skinner play this year? I don't know how he's going to play. That's what makes the playoffs exciting. I don't know. He's got potential to play well. He's also, got potential maybe to struggle. We'll see what happens. But I think the Jake Wallman acquisition, now I know Trent Frederick hasn't played yet, so it's fair for people to kind of wonder about, the Trent Frederick trade and is it any good? How do we look at that? It's valid because he hasn't played yet, which leads me to this one from Darren. Hey, Gregor, do you know if the Oilers did their own medical on Frederick before paying to double retain him? Asking because it appears to be possible if it's a price that didn't even be paid from Darren. Well, Darren, it'd be impossible. How could you do a physical on him unless you're flying your doctors to Boston? You can't do it, right? Now, they will see the doctor's reports from Boston. That's what they go on, right? High ankle sprain. Everybody knew a high ankle sprain. Well, you hope the return date is March 25th. It doesn't mean it will be, which is obviously what's happening. Because they had hoped when they acquired him that he would be ready before the end of the month, likely this week. They thought he'd probably be playing tomorrow, to be honest. But obviously it hasn't responded as quickly as they would like. But I don't think realistically that was going to change much because as crazy as it sounds, Trent Frederick, he could score 7 goals in a regular season, whatever. It's what's Trent Frederick going to do in the playoffs. That's really what's going to matter. And then, I think Trent Frederick, his ability to be re-signed is a big factor. And I think it's very important. Because to me, you re-sign a guy, who cares then what you gave up? I think it becomes even less relevant because now you get the guy for multiple years. It's just how it works. Quick break. DVD's up next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertip. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
There's an old saying that goes, many hands make light work. We believe that at GS Construction. So what does it mean? It means a task is easier to complete when many people work together. It also means that GS Construction is preparing for the start of the 2025 season and is hiring. Currently, we're on the lookout for top men and pipe layers. So if you're one of those skilled pros who know how to do your job safely and efficiently, we're interested. Come join a team that's as solid as the infrastructure we build and maintain. Visit tsconstruction.ca today.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Oodle Noodle Origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the New World. At Ellis Island, Nudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as Oodle Noodle.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Edmonton's premium live music and party venue is On the Rocks. Check out Bingo Tunes on Monday. Perform on the best stage in town with karaoke on Wednesdays. Learn how to salsa with Salsa Rocks on Thursdays. And every weekend, OTR goes live.
With your favorite bands on the OTR stage and DJ Kenny K.
For everything that's going on at On the Rocks, give us a follow.
Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.
At On the Rocks, EDM.
Eat well, party hard.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On the Rocks. Open every day till 2 a.m.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience. But it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-660-0514 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
At Hughes, it's all about getting in and out quick and clean. No cash, no problem. With Hughes' new tap and wash system, all you need is your debit or credit card to get your vehicle sparkling clean.
Find us at Hughes Car Wash.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Old Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hey, Greg's, I have to say, I'm not a big boxing guy, but that interview about Foreman and his author was fantastic. What's the name of the book again? LA 56, A Devil in the City of Angels by Joel Engel, E-N-G-E-L. He was, of course, the writer of George Foreman's autobiography. Also, the oldest rookie, the true story. Some of you have probably seen the Dennis Quaid starred in it. It was great. Cons. You must have seen that movie.
I did see that one. Yeah, actually.
Yeah, it's good
I
flick.
haven't read the book, but yeah, I've seen that movie. Very good.
Yeah, no, it was quite good. Let's get to the oil report now, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. Stop in as the March showroom event is on now. Their biggest sale of the year. They're great deals. You want XC90s, you want the S models, the V man. If you can get a V1, you get in there, put the money down, man, because those ones, there's hardly any. They go so fast, but it's a great opportunity to get a great deal, great vehicles, and even better service at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Is Derek Van Diest from NHL.com joins us. DVD, how you doing?
Good, Jason. How you doing? I'm doing all right.
Hey, good. So we had a question asked. If you look at the Oilers playoff roster last year, top to bottom, and then you look at the Oilers roster now, and we assume that Frederick and Kane are healthy come playoff time, do you think this roster is worse, even better than last year?
I think it's better. I really do, because I do think they have a bit more experience, and I think they have a few more weapons. And I think last year they were depending a lot on younger guys. They were depending a lot on your Holloways, on your Brobergs, on guys like Fogle, guys like McLeod. They counted a lot on those guys, and there was a bit of an uncertainty going into the playoffs. I think this team has a lot of playoff savvy. They've been there, they've done it, they know what it takes to get there. And they may be a little slower. I just don't think they're as fast as they were maybe a year ago, but I do think they're more experienced and have more playoff savvy. So whatever that accounts for, you know what you're going to get with this team going into the playoffs. And if they do get Kane back and they do get Frederick in the lineup, suddenly you're a bigger, heavier team, and you're a playoff type team with Max Jones and go down the list. And I think that makes it more playoff ready to me than maybe they were last year, because I think still there were still some unknowns last year with some young guys, and you weren't sure how they're going to perform in the postseason.
Yeah, it is a fascinating question, because I can make an argument, Wallman, Frederick, Skinner, and Arvidsson compared to Holloway, Fogle, McLeod, and Ceci. They could be better as a group. But then it's like, man, it's going to be really hard for Bouchard to put up as many points as he did last year. And it's probably going to be really hard for McDavid to score 40 points again in the playoffs, because it's mind-blowing to do something like that. So, it will be interesting to see. It's looking more and more. It's not a lock yet. I know LA's rolling. They got a lot of home games left. Maybe they could catch Vegas. Vegas is playing well too, but it's seemingly more and more likely that Edmonton might play LA here, unless Vegas kind of stubs their toe. And, that Kings team, Edmonton finished 5 points ahead of them every year. They had home ice every year, and they beat them. This year might be different. The Kings might have home ice, and it would make for a fascinating series, but I'd actually still look at Edmonton as a favorite in that series.
Yeah, I still would. The only thing that concerns me, Jason, is trying to beat a team 4 times in a row in the playoffs. Like, eventually, you're eventually it's going to come up. I guess the Kings card is going to come up. They're playing some great hockey right now. They're really rolling right now. They're feeling confident. But yeah, I think the Oilers would still be the favorite going into that series. I still think that they have the more talented team. They have the game breakers. LA has a few game breakers, but the Oilers still have those guys that every night they're going to do something special. So I would favor the Oilers in that series, but that's going to be a tough series to get through. Like that, it's not going to be a cakewalk to get past the LA Kings, and they'll be fired up. Like you get knocked out by the same team 3 years in a row. Trust me, you're fired up to play them in the 4th year round. So that's the one concern I have with the Oilers, is just the odds. Eventually the odds are going to turn against you. Can you beat them 4 years in a row? We were talking about this last year. Can you beat them 3 years in a row? So it'll be interesting to see if that's a first round matchup. I think it'll be a good one. I think both teams match up well with each other. But yeah, I think it's going to be a long series, and if you don't have home ice advantage, that could be a huge factor. So it'll really, really matter who finishes second and who finishes third in that division.
You look at the Oilers, and another day off for them today. Why not? Rest the players up. They had a longer practice on Tuesday rather than have 2 short practices. And then talk to the players. They love it. You get an extra day off, and away they go. They'll be rested. They had a pretty good game against Seattle offensively. I didn't love their defensive game, and I think against a much more skilled Stars team tomorrow, the Oilers are going to have to be a lot more aware defensively.
Yeah, they will. They'll have to be a lot better defensively, and I think they're going to need, obviously, guys to start stepping up. And I think in Chris Knobloch, you were in the scrum yesterday, you talked about this. You never want to have Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid out of your lineup, but this might turn out to be a blessing in disguise, because it may force other guys to kind of up their game. You're going to give more guys opportunity now. You're going to give some guys opportunity on the power play. Guys are going to get increased ice time, and it's going to be more expected out of them. So it'll be a good test to see whether these guys can step up and fill a couple of those roles. And I'm pretty sure whatever the injuries are with Draisaitl and McDavid, the Oilers are no rush to get them back in the lineup. They want to be able to kind of ride this wave without them, and they're going to lean heavily on some of those other guys that they've brought in. And this is a great opportunity for them to prove that, hey, I can get the job done. I can be counted on. I can be a guy that you can throw me over the boards in the last minute, whether you're down a goal or up a goal. I can be that guy. So I think it's going to open the door for a lot of guys. It's just a matter for them to step through it.
Yeah, no, that is totally fair. Derek Van Diest from NHL.com joined us here on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Does it become a concern at all for you, on Trent Frederick and, how many games he's played? Some guys, like the Henrique Brown Janmark line had never played together, and then all of a sudden we're great in the playoffs. So sometimes you just find chemistry, sometimes you don't. How many games do you think ideally Frederick plays before the end of the season?
Well, I think ideally they wanted him to play at least 10. I don't know if that's going to happen now. And the thing is, like Jason, with those high ankle sprains, it's like, man, sometimes they take forever to heal. And we've all had them. We've all had them playing. And it just takes so long. So it's tough to get a gauge on when you're going to be back. And when you do get back, how you're going to feel. I know for a fact that the Oilers doctor called inquiring about his situation. So I know that, yes, there was inquiries there and they talked. And a team has to present all the medical records, has to be upfront and honest when you're trading a player. And they felt comfortable enough the fact that, yes, he was hurt, but they thought he'd be coming back. He's still not skating. How this thing is reacting to treatment, we don't know. But I think this is the guy they brought in for the playoffs. This is the guy they brought in to be big and heavy and strong for the playoffs. But they're going to need him in the regular season here down the stretch. They're going to need him to play some games. They're going to need him to see what he can do before you deploy him in a position in the playoffs. They want to see where he fits into this lineup. So, yeah, they said a couple of weeks when he was traded. It's lasted a little longer. He hasn't been on the ice yet, so that's the concerning thing. Is that maybe once he gets on the ice, it'll be a quick transition. But yeah, I'm always leery about those high ankle sprains because you could be back within a week, like Connor McDavid was, or it could be out a month. So there's really tough with the timelines with those things because they're ligaments, and you never know how ligaments heal on some people rather than others.
Yeah, no, it's very unlikely, I think, that, he's not playing this week for sure. And
no.
I think right now the earliest timeline for him to return might be the LA game, that afternoon game this Saturday, April 5th from now. So that's another, 12 to 11 days, whatever it is, 12 days. So, and then if he gets in that game, that would be 7 games down the stretch that he could play in. And, we'll see where he goes from here. When he does come back, does he automatically get a left wing spot opportunity beside Draisaitl or McDavid?
Well, I think they want him to be a top 6 guy, so I think they brought him in here to be a top 6 guy, and I think so. I think you get, just even if it's for a look to see what he can do there. You always want to put a guy in the best situation to succeed, and if he comes in here, you want to see what he can do when he's playing with highly skilled players. This is a guy that can get up the ice really well. He's a big body. He's good on the forecheck. And you talk about guys playing with Draisaitl, and I know Draisaitl joked about it earlier this year. He just wants guys to get him the puck. Guys go to the corner, get him the puck, and those are the guys he's happy playing with. So if Frederick could be that guy, can go in there, get hard on the forecheck, create turnovers, and give Draisaitl a puck, it's got to be fine with him. But I do think that's where they want to see him, and I think they'll give him some time to play there to see if he's able to kind of fit and mesh and create some chemistry with one of those guys on the top 2 lines, because I think they brought him in here to be a bigger body, but I think they also want him to kind of be a guy that can play on your top 6, and he'll get that opportunity, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Derek Van Diest joins us. The Wallman-Nurse pairing, even with Ekholm and Bouchard in the lineup lately, has been playing more minutes. Now, maybe that has something to do with Ekholm, health or whatever, but I also just think it has to do with how they're playing. And they might be emerging more as the pair that's going to play the most come playoff time.
Yeah, they're looking like more like a number 1 pairing, and I think it has to do with the fact that Darnell Lurch is having a good season. Like, I know he struggled last year. There were so many things that were wrong with his game. I think he was trying to do too much, and I think this year he's kind of staying in his lane and just worrying about his game and not worrying about trying to cover for everybody else, and it's working for him. Wallman comes in. He's been a really good fit, really good player, moves the puck exceptionally well, moves really well, very good defensive awareness. I think you're right. I think those two, Wallman does give you that offense that Bouchard kind of gives you. I think he has that offensive instinct. So I think that helps there. The second pair with Bouchard and Ekholm. Ekholm hasn't been healthy in a while. Like, he's really struggling. I don't know what it was that knocked him out. He was injured, but then he also had some health issues. And Bouchard has been such a liability with the puck this year. He's in his own end. He's turning the puck over so much. I get it. He's trying to make plays. Paul Coffey's the guy that, wants your defenseman to be able to make plays. Sometimes when you make plays, you're going to make bad plays. And I think right now those are being accentuated by Bouchard. I think he's not playing as confident as he was last year. I think he needs to get that confidence boost in him. I think he needs to get a few more points and needs to get a few more goals because right now the puck is like a hand grenade on him sometimes, and he's making some terrible, terrible decisions with it. And you look and going, where are you going with that puck? Where were you trying to thinking? And we saw that on Saturday as well. It's like, so I think he's really struggling, and usually Matthias Ekholm is able to pull him up and help him out, but he's struggling as well with his health and his injuries. So yeah, that to me, that pairing is not completely healthy going in. So the Nurse and Wallman have stepped it up, which is a good thing for the Oilers. And I do think that they're going to get a lot of minutes now. And you're looking at these two guys don't get any power play time, or their second unit power play time. If you're Nurse, get about 30 seconds on the second unit power play, if that. So I think that's a thing too, that they're going to get a lot of the hard, heavy minutes playing up against other teams' top offensive lines.
DVD, we will see you at the rink tomorrow. Have a great day.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
There you go. That's Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. Oilers taking on the Stars in a Wednesday 8 o'clock start tomorrow night, which we all know means closer to 8:10. Might want to get home and have a nap after work. I think that might be their last until the playoffs start. We all know that the playoff game, what are they, 8:50? Some of those games, brutal 8:50 puck drop. Well, of course, Bettman will tell us it's 8:30, even though we all know that's not the case.
Bad news, Gregor. It's a lot of late starts coming up here.
Yeah, but the games like when they're on the road trip, that's different. I'm talking home. I expect they can't do anything about the time zone when they play in Vegas and LA and Anaheim. But I'm talking like home games, 8 o'clock starts, the worst. Right. And actually the LA game's a 2 p.m. start, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. Yeah. Next, April 9th, we got a 8 o'clock start against the Blues. So
at home?
At home. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 9 of their next 12
are 8 o'clock starts?
8 or later.
What the?
2 8:30s.
How many of those are road starts? So Seattle. So 4 of those are on the road?
Seattle, Vegas, San Jose, Anaheim.
San Jose again.
And then San Jose again. But another 8 o'clock start when they take on the Kings on a Monday.
That's an 8 o'clock. What the? Holy cow! This is brutal.
Not ideal for the.
God, I guess they're trying to get the fans in the playoff, getting prepared for the playoffs. Guess what? You get all the 8 o'clock home starts. So that's 3 of their final 6 home games. Oh no, because the Calgary game is 8 o'clock start. That's a Saturday though, but okay.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, Saturday, the Monday, the Blues. So 4. Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Hey, guys, do you think Bouchard's in line for a contract like Chychrun? Well, 8 years at $9 million? Well, I think the Oilers would jump at 8 years at $9 million. I don't think Bouchard's going to sign for that. Bouchard, who's, quote, having a down year. Do you know where Bouchard ranks in scoring amongst NHL defensemen this year? How about 4th? Now, the scoring by defensemen is down. Like, you don't have the top guys. Like last year, there was, I think, 7 defensemen were going to get 70 points. This year, it's probably 3 in Makar, Werenski, and Hughes. But Bouchard's going to get over 60. But 60 is a lot different than 80. So he's not going to command 10. I wouldn't think. I don't know if Edmonton wants to go 10 on a long-term deal right now because of some of the defensive plays here and there. So I wouldn't be stunned to see a bridge deal. All right, we'll see. But I'll say this. If Bouchard has a great playoffs, then they're going to have no choice because the arbitrator and Bouchard has arbitration rights. Like, even if Bouchard signs like a bridge deal, it's still going to be like really good money. Like, make no mistake. He's getting paid. You get paid when you play that many minutes and you put up that many points. And I know people say, well, what about his power play points? Well, Cale Makar has 33. Bouchard has 22. Bouchard's not padding his stats on the power play this year. He just isn't. So he's 5th in scoring, and he's, what is he, 7th in 5 in even strength points. So, a little bit better on the power play. He ranks tied for 6th on the power play in points. So he's just consistent everywhere. He produces points. So he's going to get big money. Make no mistake about it. It's just going to be a matter about the term, I would think, at this point. But hey, the Oilers would do cartwheels. They get him at 8 times 9. I don't think that's going to happen. Quick break. We'll return. Paul Sir joins. Lots of hoops to get to next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
The Alzheimer's Face-Off presented by Christensen Communities Limited hits the ice April 25th to 27th. This Edmonton-based tournament pairs hockey fans with some of their favorites from the NHL Alumni Association for a fun-filled weekend featuring a Champions Luncheon and Tournament. Teams are already fundraising in the community, enabling the Alzheimer's Society of Alberta and Northwest Territories to continue providing help for today through free education programs and support services, and hope for tomorrow through research. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit alzheimersfaceoff.ca.
RV Wars hits the north side March 27th to 30th at the Old Lowe's building. Go RV, Vision RV, and Arcan RV have joined forces for RV Wars. Take advantage of pre-tariff pricing on travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and more. The last of the 2024 models are being cleared out. Make no payments for 6 months OAC. Now is the time to buy with special discounted finance rates, free admission with a donation to the food bank. RV Wars this weekend on the north side, 9603 165 Avenue. Visit rvwars.ca.
This is going to make you hungry. Booster Juice just dropped new guacamole and black bean grilled fresh options.
What the guac?
Yeah, a guacamole black bean wrap, guacamole chicken panini, and an egg and chipotle black bean wrap.
What a trio! Holy guacamole!
Bye-bye, boring as bread sandwiches.
Guac, yeah! New flavors, new cravings.
Avocado up to wraps and paninis from Booster Juice. Canadian-born blending since 1999. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today.
Dang.
Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what?
Dang.
They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference.
Yes.
FittedGolf.ca.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection? Incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, TAG, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
Hat-tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$3:48. Welcome back, Gregor. Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Instagram as well. The Gregor Show, always presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Thanks for listening. Sports1440.ca, downloading the app, whether you get the Stingray, iHeartRadio, or the radio player. Hey, anywhere you're going, if all of a sudden you're out of the city limits and you want to keep listening, hey, you can go there, get the app. You can take us wherever you go, even on the beach. Go to the U.S., just make sure you got the 5G, download the 5G, and you can listen to it right there, no problem. So it's outstanding. Let's get to our basketball report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They are hiring right now for plumbers and HVAC installers. For the right hire, you'll get hiring bonus. You all automatically get competitive wages, RSP matching, reimbursement for tuition, and more. Apply today at legacyheating.ca. Host of the basketball show, Paul Thur, joins us. Big news, Paul, the 2025 Hoop City 3x3 going right here at West Edmonton Mall in the Ice Palace, July 31st to August 3rd. How many teams? Anything different from last year?
Absolutely, Jason. The teams for the World Tour event will be the same as last year. There'll be 14 men's teams.
Okay.
There's a play-in. You qualify, and then the draw is 12. There'll be 12 women's series teams, and I can't announce who they are. Let's just say there's a lot of heavy Olympic content in the women's series teams coming. It's going to be an outstanding lineup. There'll be 12 women's series teams. Last year we had 8.
Okay.
And then we're also adding 2 qualifying events. And this really is the motivation here is we want to give the opportunity to more Canadian teams to get into the FIBA bloodstream. So
Okay.
we're having a women's Quest qualifier and a men's Quest qualifier. And the winners of those get to play in high-profile FIBA events. So it's really unique. It's the only event of its kind in North America. We are the only real FIBA 3x3 site in North America. And it's one of the most unique events in the world.
Well, now you say you can't name the women's team. Can I give a hint? Are the Plouffe sisters going to be playing?
Oh, they're there. That
Okay.
I can say. The Plouffe sisters are there.
Okay.
That's 100%. I'm talking about their opponents.
Okay.
But their opponents that I think everybody who wants to watch 3x3 basketball will be excited to be able to go and watch because they're the best of the best.
Right. Okay. And so, you know what? I remember watching it live. My son quite liked it. It's very intense. It's very quick. It's very fast. So if you like basketball, great venue. So there's, multiple games going on. It's a lot of fun. I do want to talk some other hoops, Paul. The NCAA tournament going on for both the men and the women. We're down to the Sweet 16. And obviously terrible news for the injury on the women's side. But, basically all the top teams, there's no one lower than a 5 seed in the women's this year. And there's not many, low seeds on the men's side. What do you make of kind of a year where a lot of the top teams are actually into the Sweet 16?
Well, I think it's what people have been expecting to have happen. Some would use the term dreading, but with the new transfer portal rules and the NIL money in particular, that weights so heavily in the favor of the power teams and power universities in the United States. They're going to get the best players.
Okay.
And we're seeing the net result of that is that the teams, honestly, with great traditions, great coaching, great programs, but a lot of money, they're the ones right now that it looks like are going to be making up the Sweet 16, I think, in the foreseeable future. And when people say, well, we've got to fix that, I don't know how you fix that, to be honest. Now that the cats have been let out of the corral and the money is flowing and players can move freely, I don't know how you fix that. But I think what may happen, and this is speculating and getting ahead of myself, but in football, you have Division I and Division 1A.
Right.
I think that's inevitable to come, that you're going to have your top 50 programs,
Right.
and then you're going to have a secondary version of March Madness because the disparity in dollars is just going to be tremendous.
Okay. So now, do you think that'll be good or bad? Because they kind of have that already, right? Like they have the NCAA tournament, and then they have the NIL tournament.
Yeah, the NIT, the old NIT has been around forever. As long as that's older than the NCAA tournament. So I don't. In some respects, I think it is better because I think it'll be a truer matchup of programs with similar resources. Let me put it that way. For instance, BYU, they're one of the surprises in the Sweet 16.
Right.
Next year, they've signed the top high school recruit in the United States because a billionaire supporter put up $8 million. So they're automatically a player because they've got a good team now, but they've got a lot of money for going forward. So in effect, I think it's inevitable. I think inevitable, and I think overall it would be a good move.
Okay. Looking at the NBA, Paul, the Mr. Butler into Golden State. Are you surprised at all how big of an impact he's made? And are the Warriors now a legit contender in the West?
I don't know. That will depend on the health of Steph Curry, of course.
Right.
But am I surprised? Somewhat, a bit, because Butler's a great player and he's a high impact player. I guess as it turns out, he was the right player for the Golden State Warrior culture. And I think that's a part of this is that Jimmy Butler's tough-mindedness, the way he plays, not looking for his points, but rather looking to defend and to be effective in the particular game. Because one game, Jimmy Butler will have 28. Next game, he'll have 8. And he will have been a big contributor in both games. So Butler in the Golden State Warrior mix of talent and culture has been fantastic. I don't know that I would still consider them a contender in the West because right now I think they're depending on how Jokic comes back. But right now there's Oklahoma City, I believe, and everybody else. So I think that's what's going to be interesting. Now I say that, and I could have my foot all the way down my throat because you've got Steph Curry, Draymond Green, now Jimmy Butler. That's a high championship pedigree right there and a real tough out in a 7-game series. So they'll definitely be in the mix. I think SGA and the Thunder are the clear favorites, but they're certainly a lot better than they were before Jimmy Butler started playing.
Yeah, no, that's what about the Lakers with Luka Doncic? Obviously, LeBron James's health is a factor there as well, but let's assume they're healthy. Are they good or could they even beat the Nuggets?
You know what? I think there are several teams that could beat the Nuggets, especially if the Nuggets aren't at 100. The Nuggets are going to have to be 100% healthy for the whole playoffs to be a playoff contender. Yeah. Jokic is going to have to come back and be as good as he was before his injury, which I believe he will be. If that happens, I think it will be the Nuggets quite possibly working their way back into second place in the West and getting back to the conference finals against SGA in Oklahoma City. As far as the Lakers go with LeBron back, they're very good. I have a hard time envisioning with some of the gaps that they have in their personnel that they're actually going to be a contender this year. But they're certainly a lot better with Luka. They were playing very well before LeBron got hurt. It will be interesting to see how they're playing once LeBron gets back. The team that intrigues me the most right now in the West is the surging Suns because they're starting to play like people expected them to play all year. And if they figured things out, that would be a tough out in a 7-game series.
Well, they have been, up until this point, probably the biggest disappointment in the entire NBA, right?
Absolutely.
On paper, they got a lot of skill. They haven't necessarily shown it. What have you seen? What's suddenly working for them?
You know what? I don't think anything other than that they're playing like they want to be out there together, because I think it would appear it had nothing to do with their physical ability, because they are, as you just said, Jason, they're a highly skilled team, and this has been a major disappointment this year.
Yeah.
But Durant's playing like Durant can play. He and Booker are working well off each other, and the rest of the role players are fitting in around those two stars. And this is without Bradley Beal. And maybe this is addition by subtraction, because there has been a lot of chatter amongst people that Bradley Beal has been not a positive source on this team, and hasn't fit in well both in the locker room and on the court. So maybe right now that's their formula, is they're going to win without a meaningful contribution from Bradley Beal.
Which, yeah, because I know they trade for a lot of big stars, but so many egos in that game, and some guys, they don't want to play a pick and roll, they don't want to move the ball around, it doesn't work. You talked about OKC, and we probably don't give them enough credit. Like they got 13 more wins than anybody else in the Western Conference. Like they've won 6 in a row again. They're 30-5 at home. They're 28-7 on the road. Like it doesn't matter where they play. They're 11-4 in the division, 33-11 overall. They've only lost one game outside the conference. So you look at OKC, is there any team in the West that is a tougher matchup for them?
Right now, it's interesting. The only team that I think could be that could match up with them is a healthy Denver because of Jokic's skill. I don't see anybody else in the West as tough as the West is, as deep as it is. When you're looking at Houston as the team in the West with the second best record, I don't think Houston can play with OKC in a 7-game series.
I would agree.
Yeah, so the only team I can see is Denver at full strength because everybody else, nobody has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, the guy is somewhat because Jokic has been hurt, but mostly because he just continues over the course of the season to distance himself from everybody else as the MVP in the league. The team loves playing with him, and he's great on both ends of the court. And I think that's what makes Oklahoma City so tough, Jason. They're a great defensive team as well as an offensive juggernaut that even though Gilgeous-Alexander is averaging over 30 points a game, he's still an unselfish player. You can't often say that about a player, but it's really true.
Well, and when he was drafted, was he this good defensively, or has he really rounded that part of his game up?
I think everything in his game has surprised everybody. That's where this is why drafting a young player is so attractive to franchises, because they're all thinking there's this tremendous potential in this young player. And in the case of Gilgeous-Alexander, that's exactly what happened. He came in, he wasn't nearly as effective on the offensive side or the defensive side of the basketball, but he's figured it out at such a high level. That's the dream come true of drafting a 19-year-old player. Right. And now what I think will happen is we'll go back to a lot of young players being drafted, because it seemed like the trend was kind of changing, that older players were coming back into favor. But this is going to seal the deal of, let's go after that young talent, and let's hope in 3 or 4 years he becomes along the lines of a Gilgeous-Alexander.
Wow. Yeah, that would be amazing, because it's funny, as the young Canadian, he has been quietly not talked about as much in Canada as I think he should be. Like, he has been utterly amazing all season long.
He has. I totally agree with you. Like, this is the best season any Canadian player has ever had in the NBA, with all due respect to Steve Nash, a 2-time MVP. This is an unparalleled season.
Yeah, like he is. Everything he's doing at all ends of the floor is quite amazing. And the fact that he's doing it on a team that's considered the best in the league, which leads me to, though, the Cleveland Cavaliers have 57 wins, right? Only 14 losses. Like, they're really good too. Now the Celtics are on a roll and they've closed the gap a little bit on them. They're only 4 wins behind them. But what about the Cavs, Paul? Like, are you a believer in the Cavs that they could, if they meet Boston, they could give them a run?
No, I'm not. At this point, I think the 4-game losing streak that can happen to any team, any good team, not to a team, it seems like Oklahoma City this year, but there've been a lot of good teams that have played at a very high level all season and then just hit a tough skid. It was the way they lost and who they lost to. They just lost to teams they shouldn't lose to, and they look bad doing it. And I think with the Cavs, their strength is their ability to hit lots of difficult shots. And they do have good interior defense. They're a very good defensive team too, but they're young, they're inexperienced, and I just believe in the East. Boston's been there, they've won the championship, they know what it takes. That if you get a head-to-head with Boston and Cleveland, I think at this point, right now, I would heavily favor Boston to win in a 7-game series.
Paul Love, I got one quick question for you from a listener saying, did you happen to see the Oregon-Arizona game and the number of fouls at the end? What did you think?
Officiating is still the mystery of the NCAA game. Like I throw my hands up. I mean, you've got they literally will do a replay on everything, but then all of a sudden they get whistle happy, and it's not like most. I mean, there were some that were fouls, some clearly were not. So it becomes a real mystery to me, because oftentimes, and you'll see 2 games officiated, and I think that's what happened in Oregon, Arizona, is for most of the game things weren't being called, and then all of a sudden everything's being called, and it's one of the great mysteries in basketball is what fouls do you call, what don't you, and they can get real top heavy at the end, both by design by the coaches to try to shoot them their way back in by having the other team miss free throws, and by officials getting awfully nervous with their whistles and blowing a lot of fouls that probably shouldn't be called.
Yeah, fair point. Paul, great stuff. What's coming up on the show this weekend?
A lot of March Madness. We're going to talk about the devastating injury to Juju Watkins. That's just the nightmare. The nightmare. A historic season, broke Caitlin Clark's record as a sophomore in her second year. A phenomenal basketball player to go out with a season-ending injury is too bad. We'll talk about on the women's side, they talk about parity. You're only now starting to get into parity. There's still so many lopsided victories, but it's getting better. And then there's some great matchups on the men's side. The SEC, Big Ten still has 3 teams in. I don't know that we'll have any Big Ten teams in very much longer, but lots of great matchups. So we'll mostly focus on March Madness this weekend, Jason.
Awesome stuff, Paul. Appreciate it. We'll tune in Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot, Jason.
It's Paul Sir, the basketball show, Saturdays, 10 to noon here on Sports 1440. Let's get to the comment. Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire. They're here to take care of your vehicle and your wallet. Until April 26th, you can get 25% off select tires and an additional $120 mail-in rebate for 4 tires. Book your appointment today at fountaintire.com. Some restrictions apply.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Busy night in the NHL. You got the Sens taking on the Sabres. Leafs host the Flyers. Penguins in Tampa. Canes meet the Preds. Canadians taking on the Blues. Wild host the Golden Knights. Winnipeg meeting Ovi in the Capitals. Red Wings in Colorado. Flames host the Kraken, and the Rangers taking on the LA Kings in the Association. Jimmy Butler returns to Miami when the Warriors take on the Heat. Steph Curry questionable to play in this one. You also got the Pistons and the Spurs. Hornets meet the Magic. Mavericks head to New York, taking on the Knicks. Jazz up against the Grizz. Cavaliers in Portland, and OKC in Sacramento taking on the Kings. In the PWHL, Ottawa will host New York. That gets going at 5. And AJHL playoffs rolling on tonight. Kodiak's hosting Calgary, trailing 2-0. Fort Mac taking on Whitecourt with that series tied at a game apiece. You got Canmore and Drumheller meeting in Drumheller. That series tied at a game each. And the Storm look to take a commanding 3-0 series lead over the Bobcats. Coming up in Hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Dave McCarthy of SiriusXM and Ask 5 Questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440. Stingray Radio Station. CKJR. Broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Do it. Your vehicle is a big investment. Protect it at Hughes Car Wash. We use only clean, fresh water and the highest quality car wash soap. Hughes Car Wash, the car wash pros.
Find us at HughesCarWash.com.
They know we carry multiple brands.
Okay. Hi there, this is Riverside Motorsports, Yamaha, Suzuki, KTM, Polaris, Gas, Husqvarna, Tibbersled, Stasic, Talaria, Climb, Floor, Alpine Stars, 509, Troy Lee Designs, and more. Sales, how can I help you?
Located on St. Albert Trail, rideriverside.com. Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's.
It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time.
Farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bouchard Concrete
3, 4.
Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank. Plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bouchard Concrete Products. 780-372-3854. BouchardConcrete.com.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy. You're getting a great deal this month. So hurry in now. Lease the 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage for as low as $15,848. That's $5,000 off. Finance for 36 months with 0% available. You'll also enjoy an available $500 trade rebate, plus an available $500 loyalty rebate. Don't forget a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Kids getting free all season long. Can you
Thanks,
believe it?
Jason.
Looking for an enjoyable and affordable family night out? The Spruce Grove Saints are excited to introduce their Kids Get In Free program. All kids 12 and under receive free admission for every Saints home game this season. Bring the entire family for action-packed junior hockey at a fraction of the cost. For more information, check out sgsaints.ca.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza when you use the code word 40Tuesday at the start of each order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We continue on. Lovely Tuesday afternoon. Gregor, Connor Halley. Man, we've had a loaded show. If you missed it, Joel Engel, really enjoyed him. He was the author of By George, the autobiography of George Foreman. He's written like 30 books. And so we got into a few of his other ones. Of course, The Rookie, many of you saw it turned into a movie. Dennis Quaid starred in it. And of course, when he pitched with Tampa Bay and came back, it was like the oldest rookie in MLB history. Amazing story. So, and also he had Blood, the Jack Youngblood story. Oh, highly recommend that one. So he also, he did give a little shout out to the true crime book, LA 56, The Devil in the City of Angels, based on a true story. I love it, man. There is, in a different time, like it'd be a lot harder now with all the cameras and videos and obviously the, DNA testing and everything like that. But man, there used to be, like those serial killers that would just, serial rapists and stuff that would just feast on people. It's kind of nuts. So it's an interesting story if you like that sort of thing. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. You can text us there. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We got lots and lots texts flying in. Hey, guys, is there any concern that the Oilers don't play well in the next 10 days? LA will catch both of them, and then Edmonton will have to go to Nevada to start round one. From Jay in a tinfoil hat. Well, Jay, it's a possibility, sure. Now, LA is 5 back of Vegas. Now, they do have 1 game in hand, so we can argue that they'd be then 3 back, right, for argument's sake. And, 3 back in 12 games, you still, it's not that easy. If Vegas goes 6-6, you got to go 8-4. So not crazy, but, Edmonton does play LA twice. That's why I've said all along. I think if Edmonton wants to have hopes of getting home ice for at least 1 round, they have to go 2-1 this week. I firmly believe that. Because then they get into April, they got 9 games left. Now, they do play the Sharks 3 times in April, and they got the Ducks another time. So, they don't have a super hard schedule, but they have the Kings twice. They got Vegas, they got the Jets, and they'll have the Blues. So, Edmonton, you know what? Whoever you play, it's not going to it's not like LA's an easy team. Vegas is an easy team. Like, they're probably playing a 100-point team in the opening round. And it's kind of what it's looking like. So there's, I know everybody's like, oh, we should get to 1-8 and it's better. I'm like, why? It's the same thing. You're not going to have much different in matchups. If it was 1-8, like what would be the major differences in the West? Edmonton would then be playing, they'd be playing Vegas right now. Ain't much of a difference. So, and that could change because of games at hand and everything like that. So, we'll see. The Kings actually, they have 1 game in hand on both the Oilers, and Vegas have got 2 in hand on Colorado. So, the Blues and Minnesota are 1-2, and the Jets, Vegas and Dallas are kind of technically in the conference battling for the seed, but I don't know. I've looked at it many times. I don't think 1-8 is any better. People forget 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 is essentially the 2-3 matchup. It's seeded different, but it's the same thing. You have 6 100-point teams almost every year in the playoffs, sometimes 7 in each conference. So 1 and 2 will play 7 and 8. 3 and 6, 4 and 5, they're 100-point teams. They're playing each other. You get to the playoffs, there's not a lot of easy matchups. Heck, the way the St. Louis Blues are playing, going into the playoffs, they're going to be ultra confident. It's not like, oh my God, this will be an easy out. So there's never easy series when you get to the playoffs. It's the best 16 teams. That's why it's good. So now let's get to lots more on the orders. We're also going to get to Adam Henrique. We'll get to Henrique, probably maybe in the final segment. I had a really good interview with Adam that we'll want to run in its entirety, just talking about him, obviously an elevated role here for the next week or so with McDavid and Drai out, and how in a weird way can the injuries to the Oilers' top guys be a benefit to other guys feeling better about their game because they're all just going to get more ice time. They're going to touch the puck more. Right? And so, because confidence plays a big factor, right? If all of a sudden Nugent Hopkins and Skinner and Arvidsson are producing, that just makes your team way deeper when McDavid and Draisaitl come back, right? So it's a big advantage. So I look at Edmonton, and they health right now is their biggest opponent. They get healthy, they'll be fine. Hey, Gregor, Oiler fans, I like that you're honest. Oiler fans are dreaming if they think Bouchard's going to get 9/8. Well, the Oilers would love to do it. Now, make no mistake. Bouchard's defensive game hasn't been as good as last year. So, like anything, timing's everything. Now, it hasn't been awful to the point people think he's going to get a huge rebate. It's not happening. Because time on ice and points are a big deal for defensemen, and he's up there in both. So, he's still going to get a big deal. But because you don't have 80 points, you're not commanding $10 million. That's just the truth. So we'll see where it goes in the contract negotiations. A lot of it's going to come down because if Bouchard, who, by the way, has been great the last 2 playoffs. If Bouchard has another great playoffs, it doesn't really matter what he did in the regular season. He's going to get paid. And then the talk of the $10 million contract will probably be there again. And you know what? To me, then you'll pay it because you've had a player that showed you 3 consecutive seasons that when it's crunch time, he elevates his game. And that's what you want. You can lose your mind if you want about giveaways in the regular season, sure. But if Evan Bouchard plays like he did last year in the playoffs, and even the year before that in the playoffs, the Oilers' chances of winning increase. It's just that simple. So that's what you want. And then you know what? You'll pay him because you're like, hey, you'll pay the guys who produce. He's not going to be old. It's not going to be a contract that's going to age terribly. He's not a 28-year-old getting a long-term deal. So it wouldn't be bad at all. Gregor, it's not about easy matchups. It's about different ones from Montana to Rice. Hey, Montana to Rice. See, again, fallacy. Now, was there a 1-8 playoffs when the Oilers played Dallas 5 years in a row and then played him 6 out of 7? I think there was. Or let's just go to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs, when they made the playoffs regularly in the 1-8 format, they played 3 teams over a span of 5 years. They've played 4 lately. And they haven't even gone as deep as then when they were going to the conference finals, which obviously the deeper you go, there's better chances to play new teams. So what are we talking about here? We're talking again about fallacies that don't match reality. They just don't. Edmonton and LA might meet for the 4th time in a row. Sure. Dallas and Edmonton met 5 years in a row in a 1-8, and they weren't even in the same conference, the same division. They still did. So I don't have much. I'm sorry. Like the 1-8, it's people are like, well, it's for different, but I'm like, well, they don't get more different. Well, then somebody has a matchup. You mean the same 3-6, 4-5? What changes? Nothing. It's just people want to complain and bitch about something without actually taking the time to look deep into it. It is not better. If you want it truly to be different, then you'd have to go 1-16, which they'll never do because that's massive more in travel. You could have a West Coast team. You could have Vancouver playing the Rangers in the first round. You could have the Oilers playing Florida, in theory, in the first round. Would anybody want that? No. Right? Why? This whole different thing. Like, that's like telling me, wow, you know what? Why'd you get divorced? I was just hoping I wanted something different. Oh, yeah? Is the next one any better? No, you got the same problems. Like, give me a break. It wouldn't be, I don't know, by the way, funny enough, if the playoffs started today, do you know who the Oilers are playing the first round in a 1-16? The Florida Panthers. Like, look at the travel there. Colorado, Tampa Bay, right? LA would play Toronto. You would have Vancouver versus Washington, Winnipeg versus Ottawa, St. Louis versus Dallas, Vegas versus Minnesota. Like, really? How is that better? I know it happened a long, long time ago, but they made the change to conference play because it made more sense. You've got to beat good teams to get to the Stanley Cup. It's that simple. There's no reason to change. The only time the format's going to change is when they expand the league, which we can debate if that's even the right decision. And then they'll get to 34 teams. And then maybe to 36. Then you'll see the playoffs expand. But they won't expand to 1-18 or 1-20 in seeding. They just won't do it. It would be lunacy to have that. Doesn't make any sense. It's way too much trouble. Quick break. We'll come back. Dave McCarthy will join us next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, till the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh, yeah. Save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
Metal Supermarkets is locally owned, locally operated. They love this city and serving its people. In fact, they're as Edmontonian as dodging potholes in the spring. It requires a steady hand and extreme focus. Ironically, the same skills for cutting metal to your precise measurements. Now, can someone please give me a yee-haw? Thank you, sir. The local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy. You're getting a great deal this month. So hurry in now. Lease the 2024 Mitsubishi RVR for as low as $23,398. That's $6,000 off. Finance for 36 months with 0% available. You'll also enjoy an available $1,000 trade rebate, plus an available $1,000 loyalty rebate. Don't forget a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 34th Ave and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
A huge thank you for making Sports 1440 the most listened to sports radio station in Edmonton. From Gregor to Curious to Low Tide, we've got in-depth analysis on all your favorite sports. We are Sports 1440.
They made up their minds and they stopped.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site heavy equipment service? Rain or shine, Japa's service department is here for you. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.428, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. It's Lotto Max Tuesday, baby. $60 million up for grabs at PlayAlberta.ca, which is, which would be quite the difference for sure in your life if you could do it. Good luck. Heck, split it 6 ways. You're still getting 10 sheets. You'd be happy. 12 ways, you're getting 5. You'd be like, no problem. No problem at all. Less people would know, too. Could be a benefit. Could be a benefit for sure. Let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And did you know that the usual good morning just became great morning with the new Smoky Maple breakfast sandwiches, featuring smoky maple sauce only for a limited time at McDonald's? Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM, our regular Tuesday guest, joins us. Davey, how you feeling, buddy? Is Dave there? I don't know. Figure out what happened. Oh, he dropped out. Oh, maybe he's not feeling that good. I'll have to see. We'll see what happened. Davey was doing a show and he was hurting on Sunday, and not from a party on Saturday night, which, you know, it's hard to have that much empathy for somebody that way. But no, was quite ill for a few days, so we'll try to get old Danger Dave back. Hopefully he's not that ill. See what happens. But tonight in the National Hockey League, Oiler fans, you get another night off, but then you have 3 and 4 days. So don't worry, you'll have more than enough hockey, although it will be late, as Connor Halley has instructed us. Lots of 8 o'clock starts the rest of the way. Actually, their next 3 games. Actually, no, the next, 6 games are all 8 o'clockers, because you have tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Brutal at home. Thursday's 8 o'clock, our time, 7 o'clock, Seattle. Saturday, 8 o'clock start. Then they go on the road, Vegas, Anaheim. So the next 5. And then they have an afternoon game against the LA Kings. So just getting yourselves ready for playoff hockey where there's very few 7:00 starts for Oiler fans. It's just how it goes. Dave McCarthy is now with us. Davey, how you doing?
I'm good, Jason. What's up, buddy?
You're sounding better, so you must you're on the bright side of things now.
I think I'm turning the corner, buddy.
No, geez, you're feeling like a lot of pep in your step.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the, it's interesting. One of the great races right now in the NHL is right in the Atlantic Division for first, second, and third. Panthers have 89 points, Maple Leafs 87, Lightning 85. Lightning and Leafs each have a game in hand on the Panthers, and they've all got 35 or 34 regulation wins. So it's going to be quite the race down the stretch here. All these games matter, and if you're the Maple Leafs tonight, you can't lose to a team that is floundering in Philadelphia.
No, it's disappointing that they lost, if you're a Leafs fan, on Saturday against Nashville as well, when they had that game really against, let's be honest, Nashville's a terrible team. They're up 2-0. That's a game you got to put away. You win that game, you got Philly here tonight, then you go out west. I know it's a bit of a tough travel out to California to take on San Jose on Thursday, but nonetheless, it's San Jose. Could have been looking at 6 in a row. And you let that one get away against Nashville. It's abundantly important for them to respond here against Philadelphia on this night to get a win. Because I think, unlike what we've seen for this team in the last number of years, there's actually something to play for of a tangible nature down the stretch. It's not about chasing 70 goals or somebody getting 100 points. It's literally winning the division, which is something the Leafs never do. Like, I'm not joking, twice in the last 100 years. And one of those was the COVID division, the All-Canadian division in 2021. So they never win their division. It would be important, I think, for this Leafs team to build. This is, to me, like the playoffs before the playoffs. See a build in their game so that you accomplish something. You win the division. You get a different opponent other than Tampa or Florida all the time. And then you go into the playoffs feeling good about your game. And it starts tonight here against Philadelphia. You want to win the division? Bear in mind, by the way, please play Florida 2 more times, which will allow them to essentially control their own destiny. But provided you win games against teams you need to beat, and one of those is against Philadelphia.
How has Scott Lawton fit in?
Not great yet at all, but I'm not concerned either. This is a guy who is not really a regular season player, but he's the type of guy that I think will have the ability to swing the tide in the Leafs' favor come playoff time. Chip in a big goal down the lineup, win a key draw, all of the things that really seem to magnify themselves at playoff time, but at times in the regular season, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. I think this will be a good night for him to try to emotionally turn the page from the time he spent in Philadelphia, which I know meant a lot to him. He went out for dinner with the trainers and support staff, the Flyers, the other night, and really tried to make sure that he showed his appreciation for everything that team has done for him. But now is the time where you got to start to work yourself in the new team. The old saying is everything has its time limit, right? Like, you can give somebody a 2-week grace period when you get traded for the first time. You come to a new situation different from anything you've ever known in the NHL. That can be a bit of an adjustment. You come home to Toronto. He's a Toronto area guy. Suddenly, you know how it is, right? Your uncle's brother's friends, cousins coming out of the woodwork looking for tickets, all of that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's an adjustment. But I think this will be a really important game to see him show why they went out and acquired him, which is to be a guy who's a great leader, an impact player down the lineup, and somebody that I think the Leafs have been looking for a long, long time to play that role down the lineup. So not well yet, but I'm not worried about him either yet, if that makes sense.
You look at Florida and Tampa Bay, Dave, and you look at schedules and everything else. Like, how challenging do you think the Leafs are going to be? Like, if I'm looking at kind of like the strength of schedules here, the rest of the way, they're all kind of similar between Toronto and Tampa Bay. Actually has the easiest schedule of those three. Do you see it being that much of a factor. I know the Leafs in Florida, maybe it comes down to the fact that they play them twice down the stretch in their final, 11 games for Florida, 12 games for Toronto.
Yeah, I do think those two games are going to be crucial. And I think if you're the Leafs right now, you have to be greedy. You have to look at it and say, we're going to go out west. We got to get San Jose. Got to get the Ducks. Like, non-negotiable. Kings have been playing really well on home ice. Like, insanely well on home ice.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough test. But then you come back home, and then you got Florida. And then you got Columbus. That's a game you must have. And then it's back down to Florida. So, like, we might know pretty good by the time we get to, I guess, trying to say April 8th would be 2 weeks from now. We're going to know in the next 2 weeks, I think, by the time we get those head-to-head games out of the way here in Toronto, what that Atlantic Division race is going to look like. But in order for those two games to mean something, you got to get the games against teams that you need to beat. That's how you win divisions, right? You look at the fact that they let a point get away against San Jose a couple of weeks ago when they had that game under control on home ice. They let the 2 points get away against Nashville. There's three you look at and say, geez, if you have those, you'd be in a much better position.
When you look at the Capitals and the Jets who play tonight, and both teams, have not a lock, but are in a really good position to win their conferences and their respective divisions. Where do you come out on the Caps or the Jets? Who do you like better?
It's a good question. I think I am more confident in the Washington Capitals at this point than I am in the Winnipeg Jets, because the Jets have had a very similar team over the last couple of years, and come playoff time, it hasn't worked. Connor Halley has taken off the glass slipper, and he's turned back into a pumpkin. His playoff performance has not nearly been good enough. Defensively, as a group, they've been really, really poor. And I know I talked to Cole Perfetti in the off season around the end of August, and he said, "Look, we're really embarrassed by how the last two seasons ended. We're inclined to fix it." And to their credit, they played like it this year. But I'm going to need to see it in the playoffs before I really, really start to buy in. When it comes to Washington, I just like their team. I love everything about the way these guys are built. They've got veteran presence, guys that can still play. Ovi's playing unbelievably at his age. You look at Dylan Strome when he's brought, Alexei Protosh. This is a guy that's come out of nowhere this year. I know you know a lot about him, having played in the Dub for a number of years. You look at Connor McMichael. He's really emerged. They brought in some great role players in the offseason, guys like Andrew Mangiapane. Their D has been really good. Their goaltending has been great. They're mean, they're nasty, they're physical. They're the size of, they're the size of buildings out there. And that's the type of team, to me, that tends to have success in the springtime. So, I just, every time I watch the team, I'm really impressed by them. They keep the puck out of their net. They score. I just don't see a lot of weaknesses with this Capitals team. So if I have to pick between the two, I pick Washington to go further than the Jets. For that reason, also, I think the West is going to be murderer's row compared to Washington's path to a conference final in the East. If you look at that division the Jets have got to contend with, holy cow, Dallas, Colorado. You get past that, then you're looking at Vegas or LA or Edmonton in the third round. Their path is a lot more difficult, I think, than Washington's as well.
Yeah, that's fair. The Caps definitely, you look, New Jersey to me is limping into the playoffs. Carolina's just probably licking their chops. And, Carolina, it's an interesting, they get rid of Rantanen and Taylor Hall steps up and they're on fire, and he's got 5 goals in 6 games and 8 points, and they're playing great and really kind of walked away. They got home ice advantage for sure. And meanwhile, New Jersey's limping in the playoffs, or coaches snarly in press conferences. They look like a team going in the opposite direction right now in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I don't think New Jersey's a threat at all. They're just too banged up right now. They're not playing any good. I would be shocked, quite honestly, if they beat Carolina in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoff. Additionally, Washington, they're going to get an Islanders or a Columbus or a Montreal. Those are not daunting teams by any stretch of the imagination. Now, neither is like Calgary or Vancouver. St. Louis could be interesting. You know, they've got good goaltending. We saw the level that Jordan Binnington's able to raise his play to at the Four Nations and in Stanley Cup playoffs in the past. It could be interesting. But I still think Washington is a team that I'd take ahead of Winnipeg to go further.
Davey, quickly, when you look at the Kings and their home record, which is the best in the NHL, and Quinton Byfield has got goals in 7 consecutive home games, really starting to shoot the puck. Are you a believer in the Kings, or because they got Vegas and Edmonton in that same division, you know, where do you come out on LA's chances in the playoffs?
Well, it's funny. I had a buddy text me today and say the Kings are his dark horse team. So the Kings are getting some attention. Well, it's tough, right? Like Winnipeg, or I should say Edmonton hasn't played very good of late. But, you know, we talked about it on Sunday. Going to get McDavid back, Drai back by the playoffs. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that they get a little bit of downtime here. And they've had the Kings number in the past. Now, Byfield is a better player than he was in years past. How much better? You know, we'll see. Darcy Kemper has been outstanding for the Kings, and they've been dynamite on home ice. I think Drew Doughty's played really good since he's come back. I like the way they've played systematically as a group. I think it would be a tough test, but I'd still probably have to lean toward Edmonton in a first-round matchup, just because they've got the 2 best players in the world on their team, and we've seen what they're able to do from playoff time. So, you know, the Kings, I think it would be a long series again. But, man, that matchup against Edmonton, I'm sure they'd love anybody other than the Oilers if they're the Kings.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. We'll see what happens. They might get Mitty. They have to win the division probably, I think, to avoid that. So we'll see. Davey, great stuff as always, buddy. Enjoy the game tonight.
Okay, buddy. I'll see you.
There you go. That's Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM. And, you know, it is interesting when you look at Edmonton and where they're at and how they're playing. And I understand that, you know, that they're not dominating right now, but I don't know. There's just something like I went back and looked at Tampa Bay when they went to Cup. Like Tampa Bay wasn't leading their division and dominating every year. You know what? You want to get in when you have experience. Edmonton does have that experience. I think it can be an advantage. They just got to get healthy. That is the number one thing now for the Oilers. And you know, we got a lot of text people wondering, hey, do you think they put McDavid on LTIR and activate Kane? No. Connor McDavid, if he's going on LTIR, then he's legit hurt on LTIR. And then he's done for the year. That, you know, he's missing 14 games. My sources tell me he's not, like, it's not that serious. So Kane's not ready to play. I know you've seen him practicing. He's not ready to play. He's not taking body contact drills. Like, skating is one thing. You come off all the groins and hernia surgeries that he's had. You know what? He's still got a ways to go. They're not even 100% certain he'll be ready for the playoffs to start. So we'll see. But yeah, so I don't think McDavid's going on LTIR. I think he'll be playing before the regular season ends. Quick break. We'll come back with 5 questions and more on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
New Jizz Nuggets. This is New Jizz Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of heating and cooling advice does Nuge have today?
You can save a lot of money by bundling your new furnace and AC with Legacy. It's kind of like saving money on an endorsement by bundling me, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, with someone like, Zachary Martin Hyman.
Thanks for suggesting me, Nuge.
Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC and furnace from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of New Jizz Nuggets.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble!
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Dang. Last season, you bought new clubs to fix your game. You spent the entire season trying to learn how to hit with your magic clubs. And guess what? Dang. They didn't help your game. Now you're convinced it's your swing, but it really is your clubs. Even though you were told the ones you bought were the best ever made, if they were, you would have gotten better. Every day at Fitted Golf, we continue to prove the right clubs make all the difference in the world. From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference.
Yes!
FittedGolf.ca.
Introducing the new McSpicy from McDonald's. It looks like a regular chicken sandwich, but it's actually a spicy chicken sandwich. McSpicy. Consider yourself warned. Limited time only. Participate in McDonald's in Canada.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Edmonton Oilers. Secure your spot inside Rogers Place for this year's Stanley Cup playoffs by becoming an Oilers full or half season seat holder for the 2025-26 season. Visit edmontonoilers.com/season seats to join the pre-sale list today.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$4:48. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Hope you are having yourselves an awesome Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. Enjoy it. Oof, doesn't love a good taco, buddy. Ooh, fish tacos become kind of my fave. Love them. Very good. Can't say I'm a hard shell guy, though. Don't like the hard shell. Too messy. They always fall apart. Don't like it. Don't like it at all. My son loves the hard shell. I don't like it. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. You know what you like? We all like is a good night's sleep. And you need it. You sleep better, you feel better. If you're having trouble sleeping, go see the Brick Mattress Store, and their experts will help find you the mattress that will give you a better chance for a great sleep.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, the Oilers' next 2 games, Wednesday, Thursday. Who do you think gets to start between the pipes against the Stars?
Oh, it's Skinner tomorrow. Then I expect it to be Pickard on Thursday, Skinner on Saturday.
Is that what you would do? You'd go Skinner tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah, I think earlier in the year, was it this year, last year, Pickard got the start against the Stars. So I was curious if maybe go for him, and then a game where you think you should win, you might counter with Stuart Skinner. Try to go back-to-back against the Kraken. So that was kind of my reasoning for maybe going with Pickard on Wednesday against Dallas. But as Skinner's got to find his game against these top teams, this would be a great opportunity for him to do so. Question number 2 for you. You look at Jacob Chychrun and his $9 million. You think Bouchard's getting more or less? And where do you think it would be on term?
Well, Bouchard's I assume his AAV will be higher on a long-term deal. Now, if it's a short-term deal, that could be different. So, but if he was going 8 years, Now, Bouchard, honestly, I think his contract's going to depend on what happens in the postseason. If he has another great playoffs, they're paying him big money and they're going long-term because that's just what's going to happen. If he has an okay playoffs, then I could see Bouchard maybe bet it on himself and take a 2-year bridge deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. We'll see what happens here, and if he can kind of raise that value going into the playoffs once again, is what people look at him and what the perception is that he can play that well. I think that would help him out. But yeah, very interested to see, and good for Chickard to get that deal. He's an interesting cat. Question number 3 for you. Craig Button's list of top prospects was released today, the latest edition at least. Any player that stands out on the list that you're looking forward to seeing when they eventually do get to the pro level?
That's a good question on when they get there, because obviously some are going to take a little bit longer than others. And it shows you just how much it changes. At the start of the year, everybody's like, oh, Hagens is a can't miss. He's the number 1 guy. And you're like, well, there wasn't really a dominant player. There's lots of good players in this draft. I'm going to go with Parter Martone. Just his size and, scoring ability very much intrigues me. So he's one. And then honestly, the guy who maybe is the most intriguing, because it'll take a while historically, is Anton Frondel. Right? Like, I know that, Europeans, it just takes longer. That's fine. Adjusting to the ice and the game and everything like that. But he won't have the early returns, I don't think, of the other players, but long-term, I'm intrigued.
Is it Michael Misa? That's the pronunciation there?
Yeah.
134 points in 65 games, 62 goals. Like, that is ridiculous what he's doing for Saginaw. So he would be one for me. And you know what? Right in our own backyard, Blake Fiddler for the Edmonton Oil Kings, coming in at 34 on Craig's list, probably a few years down the road, but great size. He's got the lineage with his father playing in the NHL. He'll be one to watch out for as well for me.
And the other guy is the big body Roger McQueen out of Brandon, right? Like, he is massive. Like, he's 6'5". He's probably not even done growing, right? He's a huge, big. Now, he does, people are going to look at his point totals, but he only played 17 games. Like, you watch where he gets drafted, because I think because of his games played, Cons, that's going to see him drop.
Yeah.
Because he only played 17 games, but he had 10 goals and 20 points in 17 games, and he is massive. Like, that could be a pick that people are like, why did that guy drop? Well, because he only played 17 games.
Question number 3, Ed Paulster on the show, talking about 3-on-3 returning to Edmonton once again in the summer. If you were making the dream 3-on-3 team, current NBA players, who would be on your squad?
Well, Curry's on your team for sure, because you need to shoot. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, because he can play defense and he can score. And Jokic. Those would be my 3.
Okay. I'll go away from those 3 then.
Okay.
Give me Giannis. I'll take Luka, and go away from LeBron for this one. Give me Anthony Edwards. I like watching him play. So, it'd be fun. That 3-on-3 league, I'm very intrigued. They always have kind of like the players who are out of the NBA joining up and doing it. I'd like to see some of the current stars get into that, because it's fun to watch. And final question for you today, National Cocktail Day. So let's say you're mixing up a nice concoction. What would be the top of your list?
Ooh, well, that's a really, on a normal day, I love Hendrick's half soda, half tonic. Very simple, very crisp. But the homemade strawberry margarita that we made a few years ago on Thursday, and I pull it out every now and then. Now, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of strawberries. It takes a little bit more work to blend in everything. It's unbelievable. So when I have time and I want to make the effort, the homemade strawberry margarita to die for.
Yeah, I mean, I was always the fan of just the simplicity of a rum and Coke. That was always the drink. Could go out, could put those back pretty easily. But if you're making it properly, make a nice Moscow Mule. I know we had the alcoholic and the non-alcoholic versions brought in from Sherbrooke on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Just a nice drink. So the Moscow Mule for me is one I always like.
Really? I like the mule.
I like the ginger.
I don't like ginger beer, but I get why people like it. It's definitely flavorful.
Yeah, it's good. Some are a little too strong, right? Like, sometimes it's got a little too much kick, but I do like a nice ginger beer as well.
Really? Eh?
Yeah.
I like the ginger. Well, Thursday, we're going to have our Japanese expert coming in. So I'm very intrigued by that.
Sake, right?
I've never had sake. So we will see how that is. Let's get to Sports 1440 update. And coming up, Mark Spector will be by, Struddy and more in a busy 5 o'clock hour. Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month is on now at GMC. Get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on a 2025 Sierra HD model. See more at gmccanada.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Busy night tonight in the NHL. Sens in Buffalo taking on the Sabres. The Leafs will host the Flyers. Penguins in Tampa. Canes battle the Preds. Montreal traveling to St. Louis. Wild hosting the Golden Knights. The Caps taking on the Jets. Speaking of the Caps, they've signed Jacob Chikrin to a new extension, 8 years, $72 million. At 7 o'clock, the Avs host the Red Wings, Kraken in Calgary, and the Kings taking on the New York Rangers. In the NBA, games getting going shortly here. You got the Magic and the Hornets, as well as the Pistons and Spurs at 5:30. Jimmy Butler and the Warriors head to Miami to take on the Heat. Knicks host the Mavs. Hawks in Houston. Jazz up against the Grizz. Cavs meet the Blazers, and the Thunder head to Sacramento. In the PWHL, getting going shortly here, you got Ottawa taking on New York. Later tonight in the AJ, the Kodiaks host Calgary, trailing 2-0. Fort Mac takes on Whitecourt. That series tied at a game each. Canmore and Drumheller meeting in Drumheller. That series also tied at 1 apiece. And the Storm looking to take a commanding 3-0 series lead over the Bobcats. And some news from the NFL. Russell Wilson joining the New York Giants on a 1-year deal worth $10.5 million, a chance to earn up to $21 million on the deal. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and former NHLer Jason Strudwick. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
At Papa John's, you get your everyday favorites for just $9.99 each when you order 2 or more items from the Papa Pairings menu. When you order more, you save more. Choose from medium one-topping pizzas, boneless wings, papadillas, breadsticks, cheese sticks, and desserts. It's easy to order all your favorites when they're just $9.99 each. So the next time your friends come over to eat your food, check out the Papa Pairings menu to save. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 heating and cooling company for people who want heating and cooling, because you'll save a bundle by bundling. Then you can use hot, cold, Come on, thermostat, do what you're told. Turn up the heat, turn up the cold, to the vents start pushing out tornadoes. Bundle my furnace with some AC. Gonna get a new from Legacy! Oh yeah, save a bundle when you bundle your new furnace and AC from Legacy today. Plus no payments and no interest for 1 year. That's how you build your legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Truck Month is on now at GMC, and it's one of the best times to get behind the wheel. Right now, get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models with a 13.4-inch diagonal center touchscreen, an available Duramax 6.6-liter turbo diesel V8 engine with 470 horsepower, plus the most trailering assistance technologies in its class. Sierra has some serious hauling power and is the only off-road ready HD. Truck Month is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, and Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
farm, ranch, acreage, or lake lot. They're here to help at Bouchard Concrete Products. Family owned and operated for 60 years. They continue to provide the best products and service, period. Call now for your free quote on the highest quality ready mix and gravel, a new septic tank, or an outhouse pad and tank, plus precast cattle water pads, garage sumps, and more. Call 780-372-3854 for prompt delivery. Bouchard Concrete Products, 780-372-3854. BouchardConcrete.com.
Listen to over 500 radio stations from anywhere in Canada with Radio Player Canada, the must-have app that's as Canadian as you are. Friendly, ready to party, great company. Enjoy every type of radio station, anywhere, anytime. Listen through your phone, Sonos, Google Chromecast, Google Home, Amazon Echo, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. Download the Radio Player Canada app today. It's where Canadian radio plays.
Spring cleanup is a breeze with the Lawnmower Hospital and Echo Pro Attachment Series. With one power head and 16 different attachments, the Echo PAS powers through almost any spring cleanup job. And speaking of power, Echo now has a battery-powered power head that uses the same attachments as gas. Find out how commercial landscapers can save 20% for 24 months with the Landscaper Fleet Discount Program. See lawnmowerhosp.com.
The Lawnmower Hospital.
Portions of this hour brought to you by RV Wars. RV Wars is back. Multiple dealers battling for your business, clearing out the last remaining 2024 pre-tariff pricing. Don't miss out on an incredible deal. Visit rvwars.ca for details.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through Tuesday afternoon. Hey, you made it through another work day. Congratulations for most of you. Some of you working a little bit later. Keep grinding. Keep grinding. Thanks as always for listening. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. So hope you are having a great day. And have a good evening. Taco Tuesday, baby. Somewhere wherever you're at. Maybe you'll just be watching a little NHL hockey tonight, full slate of games. Oilers not playing games that impact the Oilers potentially. You look at it, the LA Kings, of course, home to the New York Rangers. That is the only game that starts at the bottom of an hour tonight. All the rest, you got 4 games starting just right away here. Then you got 3 starting at the top of just after 6, and then 2 after 7, and then the late game, the Rangers and the LA Kings. Other games with some significant playoff implications. The Red Wings clinging to hope. They got to win in Colorado tonight. Canadians and the Blues, who currently hold down the final wildcard spot in each conference, they play each other. You have the Flames at home against the Kraken, closing in on a must-win game, I would think, for Calgary. That's not a game you want to lose. You also have Lightning and the Maple Leafs both at home against the Flyers and the Penguins as they are trying to catch Florida and also get finish ahead of each other. So some pretty big games there. Colorado game, I mean, the Carolina game doesn't mean anything. They've locked up their spot. The Golden Knights are in Minnesota, so I guess the Oilers, if you believe there's still a chance to catch Vegas, then you would need Minnesota to win tonight. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440 in our inbox. It is the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. $60 million tonight in Lotto Max. Get your tickets. Good luck. Now, let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialist. Over 50 years in business, reliable, effective, and they do a ton in the community, give back a boatload to various charities, support lots of minor hockey sport teams and more. That's GS Construction, as Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. And Spec, you know, there would have to be, you know, LA stays super hot or the Oilers get super hot and Vegas kind of closes in. It's looking maybe more and more like we might see version 4 of Oilers Kings.
I know. So it's been going in a certain way. Like it's gone. The Oilers won in 7 the first year, then they won in 6, then they won in 5, right?
Yep.
I don't think it keeps going in that direction. It's got to go back in the other direction. This is probably a better Kings team if it goes that way. And certainly their home record, they're hard to beat at home. Do they have enough to finally actually win a series? I mean, maybe if they win a couple early, they really believe in themselves, but there is going to be that ghost of series past that will affect this series a little bit, don't you think?
Oh, 100%. And I don't I get that the regular season record, but we all know regular season home records and all that stuff, it doesn't matter. If that series does become a series, the truth of the matter is, can the Kings penalty kill have a pulse? Because really, that's how the Oilers won the series. 5-on-5 is pretty even. The Oilers dominated them for 3 years in a row on the power play. And until they prove they can shut down the Oilers power play, I don't really care what their home record is, because their home record isn't going to be good if they can't stop the Oilers power play.
And the Oilers have had better goaltending increasingly as those series went along, I think. And LA's probably got an answer to that this year. Kemper is the best goaltending that has given them the best goaltending, better goaltending than the last 3 series, I think. He's better than Korpisalo. I think he's having a better year than Talbot was having. I don't mind Kemper. So that's a tick in their box compared to Kings teams from before, but they still struggle to score. They still struggle to score a little bit. So I don't know. I would pick Edmonton still, but you never know. It's hard to beat the same team year after year after year, Jay.
Yeah, except Dallas did it, so you can definitely do it.
Yeah, that's right.
A little bit different, of course, but the Oilers got McDavid and Drai. And to me, it's just going to come down to health, right? If Edmonton's guys get healthy here, I think they'll be fine. So we'll get into that. I did want to look at the Oilers spec, and let's say they get back healthy. And you've got all your 12 forwards now. And you got Frederick, and you got Henrique, and you got Kane. You got all these options.
Yeah.
If you were Knobloch, would the way Nugent Hopkins is playing, would you just keep him at center and then decide either Henrique's going to go to the wing or Kane or Frederick, but I'm going to keep Nugent Hopkins as my third line center?
Well, if I could do it, and I'd go Nugent Hopkins third line center and Henrique fourth. But I'm not sure that I get enough out of Henrique down there. Like, my fourth line center doesn't play very much. So, I think he's a better player than that. I think I want him on more minutes and in more meaningful. Maybe I'm playing him on a line with Nugent Hopkins. I don't know. But it's hard to argue with Nugent Hopkins' effectiveness at center the last 5 games here. Now, it's only a 5-game window, and we have seen him play a lot of center in his life. I don't think anyone's like, oh my God, he's a center. How about that? He's been a center a lot of games here. So
it's true. Yep.
So it's really just which way the wind's blowing for Knobloch. But at this point, and when there's 12 games left or whatever there is, I don't see Nuge coming off the center hole. He's been pretty good there lately.
Oh God. Yeah. He's been very effective for them. And, if anything, he just seems to be skating better. He's got more confidence. And so, it's a good opportunity. And here's the reality. I could see them switching things up, right? Matchups might play a part in it. Evander Kane is obviously a big wild card because he hasn't played in 10 months when he comes back. Who knows what he's going to be? I've always said, I think I start him down the lineup and then see how he goes. But, for one series, if he's going well, he can be a difference maker simply because of the tenacity that he brings, right? Like, he can be very physical. And that we've seen him, everybody forgets, he took Tkachuk out of that series against Calgary a few years ago, out. We didn't even notice Tkachuk after game 1, right? It was like, is he even here? Right? He's on a milk carton in that series. But then you throw in Trent Frederick too. And Trent Frederick is no shrinking violet himself, right? It's odd because we're talking about guys that haven't played all year long. And that's what, to me, when I hear, Edmonton's not as good, I'm like, okay, in the regular season, you're right. But you've got 2 players that come in that drastically bring something that you don't have. And it really changes how your team plays.
Well, Frederick, I think it's, unless something happens and he doesn't come back for another 3 weeks. If he gets back and gets 5 or 6 games in, I'm very confident we'll see a Trent Frederick at, the guy we expect to see. He's played a bunch of games this year. He hasn't been out that long. He'll be rested and ready, and he'll be fine. I'm a little more questionable about whether Kane will be able, in a playoff atmosphere, to find the minutes to ramp his game up. Like it's going to be, it's going to be hard to give minutes to a guy who hasn't played a game in 11 or 12 months or 11 or 10 or 11 months. It's going to be difficult for the coach. It's going to be hard to trust a player out there that just is working the rust off while everybody else is playing playoff hockey. This isn't a shot or a criticism of Kane by any means. It might be too much to ask that you could say, get out there, work on your game. Don't cost me any goals because goals are so important. Try to hit some guys, even though you're coming off 2 surgeries. And if you get a chance, bury it, could you? That might be a lot to ask of a guy who hasn't played for 10 months.
Yeah, that's fair. Depending on, how many minutes he plays, right? Like if he's your 4th line guy, you're not expecting all those things, right? Like you're just expecting him to be, but even 4th line guys, like it's not like you're going to get, huge mismatches where all of a sudden, the Kings are going to get like their best line all the time against them, right? Like it's still, for the most part, it's best on best come playoff time, right? And then your 4th line, I would say 80% of their shifts are against the other team's 4th line.
Yeah, I mean, one of the weapons the Oilers have here is you might have Skinner on your 3rd line. He's a 30-goal guy. And you might have Kane starting out in your 4th line. And really, he's been a 25, 30-goal guy in his career. So,
yeah,
that part I don't mind. Scoring always comes. You need depth scoring. We were talking about this yesterday, you and me. And having those 2 guys pulling maybe the puck lands on their stick in a depth situation, I don't mind that one bit. Now, the other side of it is, Kane's such a unique guy. When he's at his best, he can be a first-line left winger, or he can be a third-line left winger and fulfill that role too. And he can fight if he has to, and he hits. He led the team in hits last year, and he has been a 25, 30-goal man in his career. He's such a unique player. I really caution everyone on expecting him to find that level after what he's been through and with the environment he's being asked to play in here. Playoff time's a tough time to get your legs, boy.
That's totally valid. What about now Jacob Chychrun contract today? 8 years, $9 million. Chychrun's never been the offensive numbers of Bouchard. Even this year, he scored some goals for sure, but he has 43 points. Bouchard has 55. And Bouchard, I try to tell everybody, like he's 4th overall in points, but it's not like he's padding all his totals. He's 7th in power play points. He's 7th, I think, in even strength points. So it's pretty consistent. It's not where, it's all the power play that he's getting. Like, keep in mind, he had no power play goals till he scored an empty net power play goal. Do you think that Chychrun has any impact at all on Bouchard's contract?
Oh, for sure. Bouchard should get more. How about that? Right? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm his agent, in today's world, Jason, most of the defenseman metrics, like a lion's share, have to do with their offensive play. I always harp on this, but I'm right. They haven't found a way to quantify, the things that made Chris Russell valuable, right? They haven't found the way. Block shots. I know. Well, first of all, on the game sheets, the block shots are wholly inaccurate. I know teams keep their own metrics on that. I get it. But my point is this. Defensemen today are quantified. Their game is quantified largely on offensive numbers, and Bouchard's offensive numbers are awesome. The only hole anyone finds in his game is defensively. No one has any off. Is there anything wrong with his offensive game? I mean, okay, maybe get the odd shot through a little better or whatever, or shoot more instead of passing. But my goodness, he's as good an offensive defenseman as there is in the sport. So if Chychrun gets 9 and I'm his agent, I want a 10 or 11, don't you?
Yeah, well, on a long-term deal for sure, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, Bouchard's playoffs are ultimately going to impact his contract. He's not signing a contract now. Because, he's probably going to get 60 points, which is still a really good season, but
it's
quite a bit lower than 82 last year. And so, his playoff production, well, it's going to be very difficult to match last year. He could still be very good playoffs. And if he has for a 3rd consecutive year very good playoffs, then his next contract will be starting with 7 digits. It's just a fact, right?
Oh, come
maybe
on.
8, I guess 8 if I'm going 10 mils.
Yeah, how many guys we should do the stats and probably could real quick. How many guys in the league have 140 points over the last 2 regular seasons? Defensemen. Right? If
No,
you had
there's
80
not
last year, 60 this year, does anybody else have 140?
Well, yeah, McCarr and Quinn Hughes and, you
Couple
know,
guys, right? And,
yeah, there's a
you
few
know, the very best guys, that's who has 140 points. So
Yeah.
that means if I'm his agent, I want to get paid like one of the very best guys. And hey, it's a good problem to have when you got players who are in that echelon. The problem, sure, you got to pay them, you got to figure it out. But I'll tell you what, if the Oilers don't want to pay him, there's 30 other teams or whatever the number is that would love to pay Evan Bouchard.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. So just, people, hey, maybe they get on a Chickering deal. There's no chance he's getting $9 million over 8 years. I'm just going to say that right now. Like, there's no chance that's happening. So
the only possibility is if he doesn't have a great playoff, that they may decide to do a bridge because the player's side says, I didn't love my regular season
100%.
and I didn't love my playoffs, so I don't want to sign long-term. But other than that, I mean, I think we all know what Bouchard is. I think personally, I feel like the hiccups in his game are very, very, he can overcome them. They're defensive miscues that aren't based on skill or speed or, they're really, I don't know if it's intensity or awareness, whatever it is, but I think being a veteran guy, he'll learn all that. I think there's a hell of a player here. And if I'm the Oilers, let's just wrap this guy up and have him on our team. What am I going to go out and find a better guy? Is that what I'm going to do? Like, I doubt it.
Yeah. And as I've said it many times, Bouchard makes some errors, yes. But I would encourage people, go watch the other defensemen that you quite like, and then watch every game. That's the only way you're going to get to see it, because I even crunched numbers. I got it from Bouchard has now been direct mistakes that have led to goals are 9, right? Including the one the other game. So that's 9 all year long. Now he'll make some mistakes, but he impacts way more goals, way more plays that lead to goals for directly. So you always have to remember that. And it's people will remember more the mistakes a player makes rather than the right plays a player makes. And as a great scout always told me, when you start focusing on all the things a player doesn't do, then you overlook and miss all the things they do. And I think at times that happens with Bouchard.
That defines Bouchard. It's easy to find the glaring defensive mistake. Yeah, okay. And I'm guilty, like particularly when you're playing a 2-1 game and he makes that mistake and it's 2-2 or 3-1 or whatever. It's easy to say that. And I'm guilty sometimes myself, but big picture, I'm here to tell you, I'm looking down at this player from 30,000 feet. Sign this guy, keep this guy. They don't grow on trees. Everyone else would take them if you don't want them. Don't be stupid here. Get this player under wraps.
Yes, I think that's totally valid. Looking spec at the Oilers here this week, 3 games in 4 days. They kind of had 3 days off, so now they play a little bit of a tight schedule, and really only the tight schedule they have the rest of the year. They have a pretty good schedule remaining. Obviously, they're without their key guys this week.
Yeah.
The game tomorrow, I know everyone's like, "Wow, you lose." Yeah, but you can beat Seattle. Seattle's a tough game because it's second half of a back-to-back. I really think like tomorrow is the game to set the week up that they got to find a way to win. And I like their offensive game. I didn't love their defensive game against Seattle, and they'll need to tighten that up tomorrow against Dallas.
For sure. And I'd say this to you too. What have they beaten Seattle? Is it 8 in a row or 9 in a row?
Yeah.
I think Seattle's getting a little tired of losing. So there's that. Like, you only beat the same team so many times here, and they're going to rip one off. Even Seattle, they're not that bad. So, you're right. Take care. Like, Dallas is coming in. They're a good team. Edmonton's a good team. I think you have to focus on defense. I think you're not going to probably, without McDavid and Draisaitl, you're probably not getting 4 or 5 against Dallas. You better play to win a game 3-2, right? Because you don't have, like, that power play is not scoring 2 every night, even though they did against Seattle. So we'll learn about this team. We'll figure. I think in a way this is cool because it's a big audition for a lot of guys here, right? Playoffs are coming. There's going to be competition for spots, and some guys are going to fall right out of this lineup into the press box. And this is a really cool audition this week for a bunch of guys to, as the coach starts to pencil in his playoff lineup, These guys are all getting more ice time than they're used to, and more opportunity and power play time and way more touches. And, if it could possibly be good to have a team missing Draisaitl and McDavid, that's the bright side. There's a bunch of guys here that are going to get the touches to feel good about their game before the playoffs, and it's going to help the coaching staff figure out, the lines have been crazy. It'll help them figure out what the lines are going to be in game one, Jay.
Well, yeah, I don't think we'll know that until game one, to be honest. I think he's going to move guys around because Kane's not going to be back until game one at the earliest. And, Trent Frederick's the one guy that you see. We all know where McDavid and Draisaitl are playing. That's pretty obvious. Although we do have this text. Hey, guys, if Henrique, you want him to play third line center, the way Nuge is playing, could he just be your second line and you load up Draisaitl and McDavid and just play them full time?
Is that for me to answer?
Yeah.
I'm never a fan of McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line, starting the game. We've watched this movie too many times. I know how it ends, right? That's plan A has got to be McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines. So if things go sour, you have a plan B. If you start them together, you got no plan B. So to me, Trent Frederick is a top 6 left winger. He's either Nuge is your third line center and I play Frederick next to McDavid, or Nuge is your first line left winger and I play Frederick next to Draisaitl and Podkolzin goes down. Absolutely, I play Frederick as a top 6 left winger in my books. What about you?
Yeah, I do not like starting McDavid and Draisaitl because now that's one line when they're on separate lines, and Leon has showed this year he can produce. Man, he was producing with guys shooting blanks all season, and he was leading the league in 5-on-5 scoring. Hell, he still might be leading the league. I haven't looked lately in 5-on-5 scoring, but I would say, hey, I got McDavid and Draisaitl because now I have two lines. If those guys are playing 15 or 60 minutes 5-on-5, I got two. There's over half my game 5-on-5 with those two guys. That's what I'm doing. And so I mix and match the guys around. I get my third line, and I don't disagree with you on Henrique. You probably could play top 9 minutes, but the Oilers do have depth. And I would argue that I think, and when all their forwards are healthy, I think I like this forward group better than I like last year's forward group. Honestly, I do. So, but I'm playing Draisaitl McDavid. Now, if you want to play him after the penalty kill, 100% I agree. You want to play, if you're down a goal in the last 10 minutes of the third period, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But maybe even 15 minutes, sure, because then you look at how many shifts is that going to be. But I don't like starting the game. I would never do it. I think it's too much of an advantage for the opposition.
No, I totally agree. I'm with you all the way. I think we both, like I say, and all our listeners are thinking the same thing. Like, we've seen it enough times that it shouldn't be a question we ask ourselves anymore, right? It's always worked better when you start apart and then you got a plan B to say, you know what? I don't like how this is going, or we're down a goal. Let's put them together. It gives everybody a spark. It gives them a spark anyway. So the school's back on that one for me.
Spec, we will see you tomorrow at the rink. Have a good day.
All right. Sounds good, Jake.
Mark Spector, the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, Jason Strudwick will join us on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Play Alberta has hundreds of casino games right at your fingertips. Join thousands discovering why Fortune Coin is one of Alberta's most popular games. Fill your reels with golden coins, multiply your prizes up to 6 times, and turn good spins into legendary ones. Land the Fortune Coin symbol to win cash, trigger the jackpot, launch the free spins bonus, and watch as the dragon takes over your screen. New players get 100 free spins only on playalberta.ca. Claim your offer today.
Volvo Cars Edmonton invites you to their biggest sale of the year. The March showroom event is on now. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 1.99% and save $3,500. Lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,500. Lease or finance a 2024 XC40 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $2,500. Don't miss the March showroom event at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Parveen Middleton. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
The Gear Center, Hydra Steer, and Pat's Driveline are celebrating 50 years of trusted service. From automotive to heavy trucks and equipment, our certified technicians handle all drivetrain repairs, including transmissions, transfer cases, clutches, differentials, steering units, and drive shafts. We also offer a massive selection of top-quality parts from the brands you trust, both online and in-store. The Gear Center Group, 50 years strong, supporting Canadians who get the job done. 8 Alberta locations and online at gearcentergroup.com.
This is a slam dunk. Dive into Edmonton's vibrant basketball scene with exclusive interviews and expert analysis. I'm Paul Sir, and I host The Basketball Show every Saturday morning at 10 on Sports 1440.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor. Sherbrooke is a house of curiosities, a mom and pop, a curated experience that is equal parts wine tastings and 2-4s for May long. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5.26. Oh, lots of people admit that's a catchy tune. It is a catchy tune. A little ABBA for you on a lovely Tuesday afternoon, as it is time now for Struds On, brought to you by Action Electrical. Help you take action on your savings. You've been thinking about it, sitting on the fence. You want to get solar for your home or your business, actionelectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show presents Struds On.
I don't believe in tea bags. I use loose leaf tea. It is so much better than the tea bags. I'll eat tea bags. I'll
Struds On.
I'm not a huge DJ guy. I mean, I guess if you had me a couple glow sticks and a tight white t-shirt that I can get wet, maybe I'd be into it.
Struds On.
There's a lone steakhouse I used to go to down in Kentucky, and they had bowls of peanuts. I wasn't sucking on those ones. You need to have clean nut. I'm talking about the kind you get in a bag at an Elks game. You know what I mean?
It's time for Struds On.
Struddy, how you doing, my man?
Good, buddy. Good to see you. What's up?
Oh, lots going on. The Oilers, little downtime, calm before the storm, maybe. But I ask you about the defense pairings, and last game again, Walman and Nurse played more than Bouchard and Ekholm. Are you seeing that maybe is the pair that is, come playoff time, going to play the most minutes?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think right now it makes sense. I want them playing a lot. I want them getting used to each other. And I want them playing in some important moments, right? So they understand how each other functions in those moments. And to do that, you have to put them in those moments and put them out on the ice a lot. I think Walman, it's maybe the last couple of games that, I think he's been a little bit too much in the Z zone for me, at least, kind of skating around. He's got to stop and start. He did that when he arrived. I think he got away from that a bit. But those are things that are pretty easily correctable. And to be honest, it's more of a reminder than anything else. But yeah, I could see those two getting a lot of those minutes. And I keep going back to when they had St. Louis and they had Bouchard and Parayko, right? Those guys ate a lot of minutes up, and then it freed up guys like Pietrangelo to do what he did, which is create offense.
Yeah, no, it's totally valid. And I look, so, I think we know for the most part, Bouchard and Ekholm are going to play with McDavid a lot of the time. Nurse and Walman likely going to play with Draisaitl. And which is why I like splitting up those centers further from our conversation with Speck. I don't want to start a game with McDavid and Draisaitl on the same line. I just don't think I think it gives the opposition more chance to focus on one line. And I wouldn't do that if it was me. But the third pair right defense, Struds, you got Troy Stetcher, you got Ty Emberson, and you got Klingberg. Now, Emberson's numbers haven't been great, right? Troy Stetcher seems to be carrying the puck a lot more, and it's kind of been better. I think we might see a little audition here. I won't be surprised if each one of them gets one game this week now that Klingberg's been cleared to play. But is there one guy you like more, or do you think it's going to come down to which team they're playing and it's going to be matchup based on the opposition?
Well, like most 5, 6, 7 defensemen, you take something from all three and put them together, you might have the perfect defenseman, right? So that's the problem. So you have to pick, what do I want? What do I want in here? So let's talk about maybe the issues with each one faces. I think that Klingberg's mobility is affected. I find Stetcher, his stature is too small. And then Emerson is just learning the game, right? He's trying to figure it out at this level. So what do I want? What do I want there? They're going to play 5D. That's clear. So the other guy is probably going to fit in. So for that reason, I'm going Emerson on the penalty kill.
Okay. All right. Stetcher's actually played pretty well in the penalty kill, but I get it. I understand why, and I think that might be a rally. What would Klingberg need to do for you when he returns to be a regular in the line?
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be hard because he's got to get his feet moving away from the puck. And defending, he's having a really tough time with that. So can he find that in this time he's been off, and they can use that springboard the last few games to get it? I think that's going to be a challenge for him. But the nice thing is, if you want a different look in any series or any game, you can put him in.
No, that's very true. Like I wonder when you see Connor Brown and you see even Patrick Kane, like Kane had the same surgery. Is like, I just wonder if it's unrealistic to think that Klingberg's skating is going to get to the level that you want until next year.
You need time, right? And that's the big thing. This isn't a broken finger. It's not even like a sprained knee. This is a major thing he had done, and he's trying to figure out what it feels like to be the way he is now. So I think you keep working him hard, keep getting in there, and he could. I mean, time is his friend. Realistically, to be honest, that is the truth. The more he practices, the more he skates, the more he can feel comfortable. And maybe it can come back to the level you need. But, I really noticed those last few games, defending is all about moving your feet. I call it defending with your feet.
Yeah.
And if you're not moving quick enough, it makes it pretty tough. And he spoke about that, but prior to the injury or prior to the surgery, that was one thing that was limiting him. So maybe it's going to take some time to get that back. But I keep working with him because, again, he has a lot of qualities I like. The way he moves the puck and is patient with the puck, and the way he passes the puck really would be a nice element to bring in any series.
Well, that's the wild card, right? And like, I think if he was healthy, he'd be the obvious choice.
Oh,
because we've like when Klingberg was at his best, like in the bubble, man, he was unreal.
Yeah,
like he was great. So, if that could ever happen, then maybe. What about up front, Struddy? If you look at the lineup they played against Seattle, you'd have to take 4 forwards out of the lineup to put in Kane, Frederick, McDavid, and Drai. I think we can agree Jones and Ryan, those are the 2 easy ones.
Right.
Probably Kapanen. Although, man, when you watch Kapanen in practice, Struds, like if you didn't put numbers and you just watch guys skate around, you'd see skating, shooting, deking, everything. You'd be like, this guy's like the 3rd best forward on the team. He does he is a sexy player to watch. Like I was watching him in practice. I'm like, God, this guy's got a lot of skill. But, he's not necessarily the most reliable guy. So let's say he comes out. But then who's the 4th guy? Is it Skinner? Is it Corey Perry? Is it Connor Brown? Like, who do you think it's going to be? Assuming everybody's healthy.
He's going to break someone's heart. He being Knoblauch for game 1 of the playoffs. He's literally going to break someone's heart. And, I'm not taking Skinner out. I would have thought that he wasn't going to start the playoffs. I think the way he's playing now, I think he's important, right? He's finding his game and he's working harder on the puck. And to me, it looks like he's skating better. Like he's attacking players rather than kind of skating around them. He's attacking them with his speed. So I like him. I'm not taking him out because he's a complete wild card as far as what he can do offensively. So unfortunately, that leaves Perry and that leaves Brown. And I think to start at least, it'll probably be Perry, because if you assume that Frederick's in there, if you assume Kane's in there, it's a bit of duplication in that situation. So does he deserve it? No. Does Brown deserve it? I mean, maybe his recent play hasn't been great, but I don't know he deserves it. So someone's going to be upset and hurt, but that's the coach coach's call when you have this kind of depth buddy running around on a team.
Yeah. You ever been in a situation like that where your team had lots of guys, and like whether it was a defenseman yourself or whether forwards where you're just like, and guys are like, and I know you got to bite your bottom lip, and you can't be a negative guy at that point, but man, that's got to be a tough one.
What is this? Let's just look at the Oilers back end, right? You can make a case for Stetcher, Emberson, and Klingberg to be the 6D men as you roll into game 1. I think all 3 you can make a case, maybe some stronger than others. So 2 guys are going to be sitting on the outside. So you're not just competing with one other guy to get in the lineup. Now you're competing against a guy in the lineup and the guy you're skating with. every day, and you got to beat them, and they're all a little bit different. So the coach might say, well, you know what, Stetcher, you played a good game, but this is a pretty heavy series, so we need a little bit bigger body, so we're going to put Emberson in there. Or, guys, we want someone who moves the pucks better than both you, so Stetcher, you gave us all you had, and Emberson, you're hitting everything that moved, but Klingberg moves it better. So that's where I think that variety hurts on the back end. But, I mean, in reality, there's probably going to be some guys dinged up and injuries, so everyone will probably sort itself out that way. But it's a nice decision or a nice problem for Knobloch to have.
Now, last year ultimately doesn't mean much once the playoffs begin. Now, the Oilers have played the Kings 3 years in a row, and right now they're trending to play them for a fourth consecutive season. What do you make of, like, some people say, oh, the odds, although, you know what, every coin flip is a brand new coin flip. So I don't even know if you can say that.
Yeah.
Like, if you had a choice between the Kings and Vegas, you're taking the Kings in the first round, are you not?
Yeah, you are. But, and I agree, I understand odds and all that, but still, to beat a team 4 times in a row, like, or do they finally just find a way, to get by you or to do it? So, I often wonder, do the Oilers, did they ever wonder if they had finished, higher in the standings and didn't have to start all these series on the road, would they have won the Stanley Cup last year? Like, would that have made the difference? So with these injuries now, it's unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely they'll be able to chase down both those teams, Vegas and the Kings, and get above them. So it's going to be another hard road. But the good thing is these guys know the hard road. That's all they've known. It's always been hard. Like, they've never,
True.
Have they ever had an easy one? We're like, this will be an easy one. We're at home, or like, it's always hard. So they understand, and they seem to embrace the hard. I don't think they don't run away from that battle. So with Connor Halley on the team, I'm still choosing the Oilers over the Kings in every series that they play. But it just feels like at some point, is this, you finally get us, or do they finally get you, whatever you wanted to call it.
Yeah, you do wonder if the odds eventually even out. I don't know. We could do a whole odds number on it, and they would tell you each one's different and it's new, so it doesn't have any bearing. And the fact is, like, the one thing the Oilers the reason they won the series every time is their power play murdered them. Right, their power play was good, their penalty kill was good. It was really special teams. I actually went through the whole 3 series, and 5-on-5 it was even. But it was the special teams that crushed them. And so I look at the Kings, until you show me you can shut down the Oilers' power play, I don't care if you have home ice advantage, because if you can't stop their power play, you're not stopping them.
But the flip side of that as well is the Oilers' penalty kill. It seems to be sputtering to life. Like, there's some good moments, and there's a couple of games.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get, because I feel that last year that was the kind of the backbone of their run. That penalty kill was so good, and they got so much energy out of that. Not only in the kill, Gregs, but then you're running out your 3 best players right after that, and they're now taking the momentum more so than it even was when he killed off the penalty in the first place. So those 3 minutes, I don't call it 3 minutes of ice time, those are massive momentum builders for the Oilers. And is it quite there yet? I don't know if it's quite there, either the 2 minutes or even the 1 minute after.
Yeah, no, it's totally fair that now their penalty kill, I've noticed it's gotten a lot more aggressive. Now, they didn't have a good game against Seattle, but the other games they'd played quite well. And when their penalty kill is aggressive, and what they really do is, I think they call it stack, Struddy. I don't know if that was the term that when you played, right? You stack it on so you don't let the zone entries in. Yeah. And when their stacking's good, their penalty kill is way better.
Yeah, well, I mean, you want to make it uncomfortable for the other team to get into your zone. If you can do that, you've started on the right foot. You don't want them to wheel in easy and skate it in. So if you're doing that in a perfect world, you want them to chip it or even dump it in, because now it's a foot race. Now you'll take that race, and now it's a fight along the wall rather than complete control of the puck at the top of the circle wherever they end up with it. So that makes a ton of sense. Trying to be aggressive in your own zone is always good, especially when there's a ball with the puck. You're trying to get after someone. So and you're right, it's coming alive and you're seeing more, but I'd love to see a nice run here of penalty kill. Maybe dominance is a bit much, but just growing confidence, because just like the power play guys get their confidence off the power play, so do the guys that kill the penalties. If you can roll a few games in a row with the penalty kill being perfect, man, I think it pushes into their 5-on-5 game.
Struddy, before I let you go, I know you're a huge fan of Danny Dimes. Are you buying a Russell Wilson jersey now?
Oh, I am. I think we have the right group of quarterbacks to make sure we get Archie Manning when the time comes. So I was so worried it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, he's had a great career, but I think there's a whole lot comes with that guy off the field.
Yeah.
But on the field, Rusty, he can toss up grenades as good as anyone. Jameis Winston's a fun guy. So I think they're going to try to find a QB either this year, but I sure hope it's next year, and it's Archie Manning.
Oh, really? So you're going for the draft. You think it's going to be the young Manning? You think he's going to be like, it'd probably be better than his uncle. So that's good.
No, Hall of Famer. But I hope he is, because especially if we draft him, then yes, the answer would be yes to that question.
See, it's funny, Strud. He didn't get in the Hall of Fame this year.
I know.
So
that's a bias against New York's greatness, right? So next time, he'll get in next time.
Now, Struddy, now I know that you're coaching lots, and now coaching is over. Are there any TV shows that you have? Do you watch White Lotus, Struds?
I know I've heard you talk about it. I have not. I haven't watched it. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. It's kind of isn't it about sex in the Philippines or something like that in a club or something?
No, not necessarily. No, it's they're staying at like a resort, and there's lots of different, like there's a family of 5, right? And mom and dad, and they got 3 kids, and then there's a one single lady, and then there's there's a few couples and stuff like that. So obviously there's a little bit of sex involved at times, but there's a scene like White Lotus can go a little outside the boundaries. Like the writers come up with some very unique stuff. Yeah. And there's 2 buddies sitting down. I know that sometimes, like you and Noodles, you gotta like to talk about your feelings and stuff. And I was watching this scene from 2 weeks ago. Now, anybody who's watched White Lotus, Cons, you watch White Lotus?
Yeah, we're only 1 episode in.
Okay, so I won't ruin it. But all I'm saying, Struddy, is I'm going to send you the clip of this episode. Okay. As I was watching it, I couldn't figure out who was Noodles and who was Struds. But I'm sure it's like I could see you 2 having a conversation where the one guy is. The one guy's pouring his heart out, and it's kind of offside. It's a very unique, and the other guy's just sitting there, kind of open mouth, listening, like, like not really believing what he's hearing, but absorbing it. But I'm telling you, Struddy, it was one of the funniest scenes that I have seen in a long, long time. Like, oh my God, I was dying. I'm just surprised that none of your buddies has sent you that scene in a group chat yet.
Well, I might have to jump into it. How many seasons are we talking here? How much?
White Lotus is, but no, the great part about it is, Struddy, you could watch this season. Each new season's irrelevant to the previous.
Oh,
like there's one carryover character or whatever, but it doesn't really matter what they did in the past. Like there's one small little storyline that you would learn right away. Oh, okay, that happened on the last season. Okay, great. But the rest it's all new characters. So you don't have to be pot committed to have to go back and watch it all. But I would like to give you homework to watch it, because I want to hear your reaction to this scene. I don't even have to tell you what it is. I don't even have to tell you the 2 characters, because once you see it, you're gonna know. Okay. And I've never seen a conversation like that in any series. It was very weird, not gonna lie, but God, I was laughing. More the reaction, because I'm like I could see Noodles. Honestly, I thought you were the guy probably listening to the story at this point, and Noodles was telling the story.
Okay, well, I got to check this out. Send it over.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the clip, buddy. And you're
okay. Can't wait.
Yeah. But honestly, you and Shona, like, I think you could, like, my wife, you can watch it as a couple. It's one of those couple shows you can watch, because there's a lot of stuff that creates conversation for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm into Running Point. Have you seen that with Kate Hudson?
No, what's that about?
It's about it's loosely based on the Lakers and their owner, Jeannie Buss. But
okay? So she takes over, right? Because the family, somebody gets sick, and she's running the basketball team.
I love it. I thought it was great. Kate was amazing in it. I really, that's shorter. This is like, I don't know, they're 10-30 minute shows. Like you're not investing much time.
What about 1923? You watching that?
No, I haven't yet. My wife keeps wanting to watch it, but she goes to bed at 8:00 every night. I don't know what to do.
I'm like, 1923 is it's fantastic. Did you watch 1883?
No. I haven't watched any, because she always wants to watch it together. But
what are they watching?
She's sleeping. Well, that's part of the problem. I'm not really sure. Running Point, I guess.
So she watches Running Point, and then she goes to bed?
No, she doesn't even watch. She's in bed. Yeah, yeah. Most times we're all tucking her in first. Needs her beauty rest, right? Got to keep up with her husband.
8:00, eh? What time is Shona getting up? Is she working out at 5?
As she gets up early, She gets up big, working on the arms. Really trying to get.
She understands, though, that if she stays up later, she can sleep in longer.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I know it's a unique theory, but it does work.
Right. Yeah.
Just want to try it, Struddy. All right. So, hey, quickly, Oilers 3 games this week. If they have any hope of getting home ice advantage in one of the 2 rounds, I think they have to win 2 out of the 3. You think they
Oh,
can
yeah.
without 97 and 29?
100%. So you have, Dallas is a really good team. Then you got Seattle on back-to-back. And then, Calgary's fighting for their lives. So, I guess there's maybe one quote-unquote easier game in there, but they're bookend by two really tough ones. So I think they got to start with a win right away.
I agree
Stars.
with you. I think the Dallas game is the one that you're resting. You've had 3 days off.
100%.
The
Come out
Seattle
after.
game is going to be tough for sure. So you win that one, then you've set yourself up for a good
100%. Then you can get the split. And if you win the second game, now you're really looking good. So I just think that you just focus on the first game and try to get 2 points and then move on from there.
All right. It's a very Easter egg hoodie that you're wearing, Struddy. I like it. It's nice.
Spring.
Spring is sprung in Struddy's household. We will chat with you next Tuesday, buddy. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
There you go. It's Jason Strudwick from Got Your Back podcast. He also has his own show too. I guess it's still, what is it called? The Struddy Show on Got Your Back? I think that's what it is, right?
Struddy's World.
Struddy's World. All right. Okay. There you go. Oh, it's a world. All right. I can't wait till you guys see that scene cut. Like, catch up so we can talk about it on the show. Like, why don't you just cram some shows in tonight and catch up on White Lotus? Because, oh my God. And I got tons of texts that are dying because everybody knows the scene. If you're watching White Lotus, you know the scene. Like, I was watching, I'm just like, what the hell is he talking about right now? And the writer, I give the writers credit, man. I also give the actors, like, I wonder how many outtakes they would have had to take to make that scene. Because there's no way you're getting through that the first time and not laughing. It's impossible. Impossible.
Which, are they in bed?
No.
Okay, because there's two brothers do have an interesting discussion.
Well, that was
first
weird too.
episode.
No, these are the two buddies when he goes to Bangkok. So.
Oh, okay.
There
All
you
right.
go.
Which episode?
I think it was 4.
All right. We'll see if we can knock some off tonight.
Yeah, you knock some. Oh, trust me. The minute you see the scene, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Quick break. We'll return, wrap things up in the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Island Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada. With sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
Are you tired of waking up tired? Are you tossing and turning all night and stiff and sore the next morning? If your sleep is suffering, it's time to visit the Brick Mattress Store. Their sleep experts will help you find the right support for a restful night's sleep. Back sleeper, side sleeper, hot or cold, there is a perfect mattress for you. Plus, with next day delivery, your best night's sleep could be tomorrow. Check out the Brick Mattress Store locations in Spruce Grove, South Edmonton, St. Albert, Leduc, and start waking up refreshed.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquessential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Explore beyond the boundaries of capability and value during Truck Month at GMC. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 72 months on the 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Pro Graphite. With a TurboMax engine delivering 310 horsepower, GMC Pro safety features including automatic emergency braking, plus a max towing of up to 9,500 pounds. You'll be ready for anything this Truck Month. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
The Gear Center, Hydra Steer, and Pat's Driveline are celebrating 50 years of trusted service. From automotive to heavy trucks and equipment, our certified technicians handle all drivetrain repairs, including transmissions, transfer cases, clutches, differentials, steering units, and drive shafts. We also offer a massive selection of top quality parts from the brands you trust, both online and in store. The Gear Center Group, 50 years strong, supporting Canadians who get the job done. 8 Alberta locations and online at gearcentergroup.com.
At Cross Mitsubishi, you can rest easy. You're getting a great deal this month. So hurry in now. Lease the 2025 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross for as low as $27,548. That's $6,000 off. Finance for 36 months with 0% available. You'll also enjoy an available $1,000 trade rebate, plus an available $1,000 loyalty rebate. Don't forget a 10-year, 160,000-kilometer warranty. See Cross Mitsubishi in store for details. 9605 5, 34th Ave, and at crossmitsubishi.ca.
Looking for the perfect spot to unwind? Check out The Ridge Social Eatery, St. Albert. The Ridge is a locally owned, upscale neighborhood restaurant offering unbeatable daily features. Open daily at 11:30. Craving something late? Check out their new late-night menu from 8 till close. Enjoy brunch at The Ridge Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays until 2 p.m. Plus, there's open mic night every first Wednesday of the month and live music select Saturdays. Welcoming atmosphere, friendly staff, good times. For more, visit theridgestantalbert.com or social media.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5.50. Welcome back, Gregor. Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X. As always, the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Hey, you got a few hours. Get your tickets. Lotto Max, $60 million at PlayAlberta.ca. Good luck. Hope one of you win. Be fantastic. Woo. Remember the rule. Goes the party. We get to come. Let's get to our playoff push brought to you by Alberta GMC dealers. Truck month is on now at GMC. Get a $5,000 cash purchase credit on 2025 Sierra HD models. See more details at gmccanada.ca. And every night, that's the good news. Like the Oilers, hey, you know they're in the playoffs. It's just a matter of where they're going to finish. But the out-of-town scoreboard, there's always some stories. Oh, my goodness, the Penguins are getting absolutely murdered in the first period. 4-0. So the Penguins are just, they're riding things out right now. Kucherov, 2 more points. He is closing in on another 100-point season for him. The Maple Leafs, they got to try to keep pace with Tampa. They're leading Philly, a game they should win 2-1. You have Montreal and the Blues after the top of the hour. They get going. Oilers, the one game, well, there's 2 games you'll be watching. Minnesota is are hosting Vegas, and LA has the late game hosting the New York Rangers. The Red Wings, I think, are bordering on life support right now. They need a win badly tonight in Colorado. It will not be easy. The Avs are good at home. Calgary will hope maybe Montreal gives them some help on the out-of-town scoreboard, but the Flames, they got 3 games in hand. And you got to make those games. You got to get some wins. They're 4 points back of St. Louis, 3 games to go. Win tonight would leapfrog them over Vancouver and still have a game in hand on the Canucks. So the Flames, who have won 3 in a row, they're taking on Seattle, who is playing out the string. That's a game you got to have. You got to have it. We just saw Seattle here. They're not very good. So we'll see if the Flames can get a win there. Greg's, you're bang on about that scene. One of the weirdest yet funniest scenes I've seen in a while. It's totally true, man, for White Lotus. If you haven't seen it, it's a little bit out there, but it's quite funny. There's always some unique storylines. If you like to try to figure out things in a show, it definitely has that. Have yourselves a lovely Tuesday, everyone. Tomorrow we got game day. We got lots to talk about. Another great edition of the Business of Sports and more. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I am Jason Gregor. Have yourselves a lovely Tuesday evening. Let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. No overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Busy night in the NHL. Following games are the first intermission. Sabres Sens tied at 1 apiece. The Maple Leafs lead the Flyers 2-1. Lightning beating up on the Penguins 4-0. And in Carolina, Hurricanes trail the Preds 1-0. Still to come tonight, Canadians taking on the Blues. The Wild host the Vegas Golden Knights. Caps in Winnipeg. Avalanche taking on the Red Wings. Kraken meet the Flames, and the Kings hosting the New York Rangers. In the association, Hornets trail the Magic 49-39. in the second. You've also got the Spurs losing to the Pistons 47-27. Early on, the Heat lead the Warriors 16-11, and the Mavs Knicks tied at 22. Later on tonight, Hawks in Houston, Jazz taking on the Grizz, Cavs lead the Trailblazers, and the Thunder head to Sacramento. In the PWHL after 20 minutes, Ottawa leads New York 2-0. AJHL action tonight. Playoffs. Kodiak's hosting Calgary, trailing 2-0. You got Fort Mac hosting Whitecourt, with that series tied at a game each. Canmore and Drumheller meeting in Drumheller, also tied at 1 apiece. And the Storm looks to take a commanding 3-0 series lead over the Bobcats. From the NFL, the Patriots signing free agent wide receiver Stephon Diggs to a 3-year contract worth up to $69 million. Diggs' season ended last season with a torn ACL in Week 8. And Russell Wilson joining the Giants on a 1-year deal worth $10.5 million guaranteed. That'll do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, we've got Fox Sports Radio. Live local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with Kevin Carius and Brandon Douglas. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and